the people that are co-located, working together and talking to each other. But the various task force units themselves around the country can talk to each other more easily. If you have a case in Philadelphia and you, let's say, let's dramatize it, right? You hit a door, do a search warrant, right? Hit the door, everybody gets rolled up. They separate all the perps, right? It's a gun-prone location. They know that these guys are selling guns and often drugs. Those things tend to be, coterminous together. You now manage to flip somebody. Okay, this guy is looking at some real time. He's been through the system. He understands how the thing works. He's not going to be able to avail himself of the bail laws for whatever reason, especially, by the way, if you're using, and this is another advantage of the task force model, you're using federal prosecutions, because then you avoid guys like Krasner in Philadelphia. So now he knows he's taking a big federal hit, right? I mean, he's going to flip. So now you have a guy who's talking to you, and he starts telling you where the guns are bought down south. Now, rather than having to, especially if you're a local, let's say you're Philadelphia PD, right? You need somebody on the other end of the phone who's going to work with you. And, cops tend to be suspicious and sometimes proprietary about their cases and stuff. You got to get through sometimes, some are not, but you often got to get through a little bit of a defensive wall about sharing information, what's going on down by you, what do you see down there in Virginia, what are you seeing down in South Carolina? I got a guy here who's saying he buys the guns in a location that's located in Alpharetta, Georgia. I have an address here. He swears the place is doing 500 guns a week. It's a big operation. We're going to need help. We want to go all the way with this. You call as Philadelphia PD. You may get some cooperation, but you don't have the muscle that you're going to have if you're calling task force to task force, right? Because that's what they're there for. So if you're on that task force, and you're Philly PD, and you very well could be, because, again, it's the local cops who will be tending to run around on the street. The feds do it as well, but the local cops are the ones, they know the streets, they know who to surveil, they know, they got the local know-how. There's a very good chance that you can have Philly PD now calling down to Georgia, and rather than calling Alpharetta PD, he's calling the Georgia Joint Firearms Task Force. And he says, guys, I got a lead. I'll cut it over to you guys. Let's work together on this and roll up the entire pipeline from there to here.
There's a lot of people that are concerned about handguns, obviously. There's concern from the people who are like, I want to be able to have one legally to protect myself. There's concern from people saying, but all these criminals have them, and we would just want to take them off the street. How ridiculous is it to put up a sign outside of Times Square that says this is a no-gun zone?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. A lot of this stuff has really gotten to the point where it's pantomime, and, people are putting lipstick on a pig because obviously that's going to be completely ineffectual. It's going to do nothing more than intimidate the people who jump through the hoops to have legal handguns, which, as you know, we have this big legal decision, which is going to allow likely for more gun licensing in New York. It's still working its way through the courts. It's being challenged, but looks like it's going to hold up, because it was, the highest level decision. So all that'll do is the folks who have gone through the hoops to follow the law, they are not going to go into Times Square while carrying a gun. But of course, the perps couldn't care less. They're not even going to look at that sign. So, yeah, it's unfortunately
But I guess one of the things I was thinking of is that for elected leadership at a local or state level, putting up a sign that says this is a no-gun zone and drawing a line around something, that feels like doing something. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious about any interest from elected leadership anywhere about your idea that seems to me very commonsensical. If handguns are a problem and this is an idea that could be brought to fore, is anyone going to take this and run with it? I hope somebody who matters. I'm out of the game now. You know what I mean? I'm retired. So I'm not in a position to move that needle. I do know it did get some interest. I heard from some people said, wow, great idea, et cetera, et cetera. You just hope that the right people, because this has to be something, and it's one of the points, I tried to write this thing very, very practically. It's in City Journal, by the way. Online you can find it. I tried to write it with all the practicalities embedded in it, meaning how do we fund it? How are we going to manage to do this? And the real crux of it is it has to come from Washington. And, to me, politically, this is a winner, man. I mean, if you're sitting where the administration is now and they say, you know what, we have this problem in the inner cities,
And we're going to set these task forces up just like we did after 9/11. We already have a model in place. We're going to use federal prosecutions. We're going to put these organizations that run these illegal guns. By the way, some of this stuff comes from overseas. I was involved in cases where we had heavy materiel coming in from either the southern border. I have one I remember from Turkey. You know, people import guns. We build enough guns in this country, God knows. But people bring other stuff into this country. Those networks could be interdicted that way as well. So to me, politically, it's a winner. And I just hope that somebody recognizes that with comparatively minimal effort, funding, etc., they can use the idea, overlay it on systems that already exist, and get the extra bump.
It makes great sense. Thanks for being with us on Fox News Rundown.
Thank you, Dana.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 844-94-BIBLE. That's 844-94-BIBLE. 844-94-BIBLE.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Can I get the sales projections for the Springfield, Bristol, and Fairview stores?
Val's Froyo Palace is dishing out 3 more locations.
Jody, have you lined up interviews?
They need 3 new store managers before they have a meltdown.
And remember, they need at least 5 years experience.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
We tried Dynovite for gut health and immune support, and after a couple of weeks, our little Gizmo was acting like a puppy again. His coat was shinier, he had a lot less scratching and shedding, and he seemed like his happy old self.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynovite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Get 10% off your next order of Dynovite nutritional supplements for dogs at Dynovite.com.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovite.
Columbo and Katie.
New reports show that Joe Biden didn't just know about, but was involved in Hunter's shady business dealings. We'll get you all the details and discuss it Tuesday with Crane Durham. Don't miss it.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
The Range St. Louis West is all about safety. That's why training is a critical part of what we do. No one wants to be in a situation where seconds count, but help is minutes away. But if that day comes, are you ready? No matter what your firearm experience level is, we have courses and instructors that can help. The Range St. Louis West is the area's premier training facility, shooting range, and all things firearms retail facility. Check us out online at therangestl.com or stop by and visit with our professional staff. The Range St. Louis West. Are you ready?
Hey, Tim Jones here with Tony Colombo for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner at the Wallner Home Selling Team. If you're thinking about taking advantage of the market and selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now. Put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. Rodney and Jen have the experience and work ethic that sets them apart from all the rest. That's why they sell 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor and have so many qualified buyers right now. They'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. The results, Tony, speak for themselves.
That's right, Tim. In fact, I recently benefited from those results personally. My wife and I couldn't be happier with the job the Wallners did for us, selling our old home in less than 2 days for significantly more than we were asking for and finding us the perfect new home. Like so many others, we loved working with Rodney and Jen, the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. So if you're thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be Shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
The latest news.
The pandemic is over. Raised interest rates again.
Migrants flown to Martha's Vineyard.
President Putin has made nuclear threats against Europe.
Biden's inflation.
Tougher times ahead.
The news you need to know.
A secure border.
This border is a disaster.
Big government socialism wrecking this great country.
They will lose, and they know that.
The commitment to America.
And the place to talk about it.
Right here.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Food is that not food?
And effects of this inconceivable problem.
No one in Washington seems interested at all.
If men can't reproduce, then the world's over.
In all new Tucker Carlson originals, The End of Men. Streaming now on Fox Nation.
Now, a look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. I'm Ted Lindner, and this is the Fox News Rundown. 3 weeks to go now till Election Day. Democrats trying to turn voters' attention away from the economy ahead of the midterms. Fox's Chad Pergram's got more.
Over the summer, Democrats hailed their passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, but inflation is still spiking. Democrats are struggling to campaign on the law despite its name. Democrats may not see a political advantage campaigning on the Inflation Reduction Act.
Fox's Chad Pergram there. The Biden administration has blamed the COVID-19 pandemic's impact on global supply chains and Russia's invasion of Ukraine for inflation. In Georgia, Republican senatorial candidate Herschel Walker participating in a town hall hosted by Fox's Sean Hannity Monday night. South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham joined Walker in the town hall, declaring Georgia a must-win for Republicans to take back the Senate.
Here's Biden's America. You got to mortgage your house, to fill up your car, to go to the gas station, you're probably going to get robbed. We need to end this, and it can be ended here in Georgia if Herschel wins.
Yes. Democrats believe abortion rights and student loan forgiveness will keep them in the majority. I'm Ted Lindner on the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and NewstalkSTL.com. St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
I don't believe the Democrats are stupid, but I think they don't care.
Live and local.
And embarrass himself at that press conference.
He's become kind of clownish, right?
Do you think he's going to run?
This is News Talk STL.
Open enrollment is coming for anyone covered by Affordable Care Act.
Open enrollment starts November 1st and stays open through January 15th.
Each year, available insurance options change.
And it's only during this period that you can make modifications, a process that can be confusing, overwhelming, and time-consuming.
MB Health is local and here to complete this process quickly, properly, and effectively. Call Mike Butts and his expert team at 314-544-5400.
Or visit mbhealth.com.
Hey, Columbo here for our family dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, a one-stop solution for all your family's dental needs, including braces. Dr. Boscia uses the My Forever Smile Braces system, which straightens teeth many times in less than a year for half the price of traditional braces. Traditional braces or Invisalign can cost $6,000 or more, but Dr. Boscia only charges $29.98 for My Forever Smile, and incentives and insurance can lower the price even more, plus New Creation offers in-office financing. Learn more at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Hey folks, Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. As my daughters would say, it's fall, y'all. That means it's the perfect time to call Hanson's. Prime time for Hanson's to come out and do all that fall trimming before winter storms can bring down trees and limbs on the homestead. Get on the Hanson's schedule for winter dormant oil applications to protect your trees from insects taking shelter over the winter, and a perfect time for Hanson's to put you on a preventative plant health care program. Everything you need for winter can be found at Hanson's. Hanson'sTree.com.
You have a real choice on November 8th with Robert Crump running for State Representative District 82. Crump will stand up against the killing of unborn children. Crump will oppose the Defund the Police movement. Robert Crump will strongly say no to confiscating guns of law-abiding citizens. Crump will use no nonsense, just common sense. Conservative solutions to solve our city's problems. On Election Day, make your vote count. Vote for Navy veteran Robert Crump for State Representative. Paid for by Citizens for Crump 2022. Mary Teresa McLean, Treasurer.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
Rising crime.
Defund the police. It's insane.
News, analysis, opinion.
We cannot afford to lose.
Blowout year for Republicans.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, I'm excited to tell you about our new entertainment partner, Vidgo. V as in Victor, I-D-G-O. Vidgo gives you the freedom to be entertained at a price you can afford. Vidgo has all my favorite live sports networks and a great choice of news programming. All of that starting at just $59 a month. You do deserve the freedom to be entertained at a price you and your family can afford. So please go to vidgo.com/Bill. On this Tuesday, writing in the Washington Post, Margaret Sullivan, a columnist, lists a long countdown of how badly she has been treated by supporters of Donald Trump. Now, I have no doubt it's true, because in 6 years at the Post, I have not seen one positive thing the woman has ever written about the former president or his entire administration. Not one. Apparently, Trump did nothing right in 4 years and deserves continuing scorn and denigration, as do all of his supporters. Then, the always amusing George Clooney tells Chris Wallace how cruel Republicans really are. Nothing good about them, Georgie says, nothing at all. I fully realize that any semblance of fairness has been wiped out in the ideological media, and the right can get ultra nasty, no question about it. But there's no comparison to the hatred on the left, which Sullivan and Clooney totally ignore. Why? Because they're ideologues, and they hate Donald Trump. It's just the way it is. And it's especially troubling because Donald Trump may run for president again in 2024. If that happens, this country will approach a fissure not seen since the Civil War. Back after this. Many timeshare owners are very upset because their yearly dues have nearly doubled. Well, Lone Star will guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. With their A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau, clients know that Lone Star Transfer is a company you can trust. For a free consultation, please go to LoneStarTransfer.com or call 855-551-7066. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
After a frosty start this morning, it's going to be a breezy, chilly day under sunny skies. The high temperature probably getting close to 50, up to about 49 this afternoon. And cold again tonight with sub-freezing temperatures across most of the area. But a warming trend starts tomorrow. Partly cloudy and 53 degrees, and we'll be near 80 by the time we get to the weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Gerhardt.
News, analysis, opinion. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Let's get the conversation started, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
When you go to the polls here in just about 3 weeks, matter of fact, 3 weeks from today, remember that there's a lot more on the line than just whether an R or a D is in any particular political office. Unfortunately, we're in a position in this country that you're electing people to make the rules for how you live your life and how much freedom you actually have. I'm Mike Ferguson. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of your morning. That is no more apparent anywhere in the country than in Virginia right now, where, frankly, some lawmakers said parents don't have the right to stop their child from, quote unquote, transitioning to another gender. We spoke with Tyler O'Neill from the Daily Signal. He has a really eye-opening article on what's happening there and why we should keep an eye on it everywhere else in the country. This is some really scary stuff. Here's what Tyler had to say. Here's how it often goes. There is a push for some sort of cultural change, and the opposition says, but this could lead to something incredibly extreme and dangerous. And then what happens is the proponent in the first place says, you fearmonger, we're not talking about that. We're just talking about a little progress here. Calm down. Stop being such a chicken little. It'll be fine. And then the cycle repeats itself until we get to a point where we say, how did we get here? In the state of Virginia, the Attorney General is Jason Miyares, and he has actually come out and said, listen, I'm going to protect parents from any effort to criminally charge them if they stop or disagree with their child's decision to want to be the gender, the sex that they're not. Now, if that sentence didn't make any sense to you, it's because that sentence doesn't make any sense, because Jason Miyares should not be in that position to have to do that. And so we look at what's actually proposed. I'm joined now by Tyler O'Neill. He's the managing editor of the Daily Signal, which is, Tyler, one of my daily stops multiple times a day when I'm looking for content here. You guys do a great job. What is it that's actually proposed in Virginia? Then I want to talk about why the entire country should keep an eye on this kind of thing.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. It's really shocking. So Governor Youngkin decided to come out with a new policy reversing the former Democratic governor's policy that really rammed transgenderism down the throats of parents and down the throats of teachers in schools. And what Youngkin did was essentially, follow through on his campaign. He ran on a parents' rights platform saying, look, nobody has the ability to make the decisions for your kids better than parents. And, this is a very common sense, mainstream idea. And his new policy said, look, if a kid thinks they're the wrong, if they identify as a gender opposite their sex, then it's not the school's job to hide that fact from the parents and to encourage the kid to get these dangerous, puberty blocker, sex hormones, get them on a path toward, chest bonding, eventually transgender surgery, these horrible things that impact people for life. What Youngkin was just saying is, let's have the parents be in the driver's seat. Let's make it so that the school can't hide these things from the parents, and so the parents have a good hand in their kids' health decisions at school. But then, of course, this Democratic delegate, Elizabeth Guzman, just comes out and says, no. I mean, she wants to oppose this, and she's bringing back a bill, apparently that Virginia Democrats already had, which would redefine child abuse to include disagreement with with a child's stated gender identity that goes against their biological sex. I mean, this is so absurd and beyond the pale, but Democrats think that this is a winning issue. And we saw in California that they're trying to make their state a sanctuary state for transgenderism such that children can flee there and escape from their parents. And what the left is doing here is driving this wedge between kids and their parents and really encouraging things that these children, when they grow up, they're going to realize that they've done horrible things to themselves, because we don't, your brain isn't fully developed until your mid-20s, and we're telling these teens, these kids who have no idea, no concept of what it will be like to be a parent, what it would be like to actually have the ability to have children themselves later in life, what it would be like to have a normal experience in their bodies that they were born with. I mean, these are their biological bodies, and they're pursuing a course that would fundamentally deprive them of experiences that the vast majority of human history have found very fulfilling. And parents know, and parents are the first line of defense when it comes to protecting their children from the horrible things in the culture. And what the Democrats are trying to do is take parents out of the equation so that these kids are vulnerable. And the Democrats think they're helping the kids, but 10 years from now, and we're already seeing the increase in coming out and saying this has been a horrible mistake and damaged me, and hopefully we're going to start seeing medical malpractice lawsuits, because this movement has gone so far and damaged so many lives, and it seems only to be growing at this point.
Good morning, Tyler. Gabe Pfeiffer here. You mentioned that the Democrats already had this bill kind of in their pockets and they just pulled it out. How much support is there actually in the legislature in Virginia for this? Is this just like one or two kind of fringy thing, or is this a good portion of the Democrats in the legislature?
Yeah, that's a good question. From what I've been seeing, most of the Democrats are afraid to stand up against something like this. So I would hope that not all the Democrats would support it. I mean, I think it's electoral suicide, quite frankly. It's a big shock when Governor Youngkin faced in 2021, last year. He ran campaigning on parental rights, and this state legislator is essentially saying, no, as Democrats, we need to be, fighting against parental rights. And it's like, well, if they do that, they're just going to keep losing. But I don't know. That's what I would think. But a lot of the voters here have gone so far left. It's almost hard to tell sometimes.
The article is called Mayaris, I'll Protect Parental Rights from Transgender Child Abuse Bill, and you can find it at the Daily Signal. And you mentioned California, obviously Virginia, Tyler. We've got, I think the bigger picture here is that in order to support some kind of argument like this, you have to assume that children belong to the government, to the state, to the school district, and not the parents, and that the parents answer to the school district or the local health board or the state government when it comes to these decisions. I mean, that to me is one of the most frightening things I've ever heard. Yeah, and that's what Miara said, which I think is right on the money. He said families have the right to raise children, not the state. And I think one of the difficult things right now in our politics is that Republicans and Democrats are starting from almost entirely different worldviews. And the fact that Republicans are the ones who are saying, look, parents should have a role in their children's lives, as if this were controversial and as if this were, a live political debate. It's scary that we've reached this point, but I think it's a very strong message that people generally agree. Democrats continue to push this narrative. It's going to undermine, because people are going to know. People know that parents care most for their children, and you can only demonize parents so much before you get a big backlash. And I think that's coming, but yeah, Democrats are so believing their own rhetoric here. They're in such an echo chamber on these LGBT issues that they think any opposition or any slight disagreement or any hesitation when it comes to not putting kids on this medical path, like these medical interventions are not the kind of thing that you can just stop and return to normal. It takes, like, especially if you undergo a surgery,
you're essentially signing up for a medicalization, treatments, pills, sometimes really disgusting physical interventions for life.
Tyler O'Neill from the Daily Signal. Man, I really appreciate you giving us the update on this. DailySignal.com. Myaris, I'll protect parental rights from transgender child abuse bill. One of those things that we couldn't have dreamed would ever be in play 5 or 10 years ago, Tyler.
Yep. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
All right, once again, check it out at thedailysignal.com. We've got your Tuesday edition of the News Talk STL Morning News Roundup coming your way in about 4 minutes and 8 seconds.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. What's happening today? Here's your first dose of the news you need to know. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Path to business prosperity to find your best clients.
Bongino.
In other words, people with big voices like News Talk STL. And then to kick them off the platform and attack them for barely stating an opinion.
Weekdays at 11.
Do you think that's an effective business model?
On News Talk STL.
For $1 a day, if any covered appliance breaks in your home, we guarantee to fix or replace it. All makes and models, washers, dryers, refrigerators, air conditioners, and more. Guaranteed to be fixed or replaced for $1 a day. Call the Home Service Club now for free information.
800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. That's 800-399-3701.
This is the sound of confidence soaring.
Our mission is to educate, inspire, and honor.
This is the sound of honor roaring.
We should never forget those that gave their lives.
This is the sound of a generation rising above.
337 for Bravo Fox Papa. We want to be involved in the education of young people so that they can take our aircraft and the stories that our pilots tell and realize their own dreams.
The Commemorative Air Force honors the heroes of yesterday while educating and inspiring the heroes of tomorrow.
Your future and how you live your life is dependent on how you think.
You can learn more at soundsofhistory.org right now.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Meet Ed, movie buff, animal lover, safe driver.
5 years of driving an ambulance teaches you a thing or two. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. When I see a car trying to rush past a turning bus, I get concerned. You see, when big vehicles turn right, they have to swing wide to make the turn. And that's a lesson you don't want to learn the hard way. When trucks and buses turn, let's you and I wait.
It's our roads. It's our safety. Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke.
News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Oh boy. All right, here we are. 21 days, 3 weeks away from election. There actually is a debate in the race for Illinois governor this evening. I've got the details on where you can see that coming your way just here in a couple minutes. Also in the news and the headlines, we're going to talk about this more than once. A U.S. lab in the United States. Did I mention it's in the United States?
In America.
In America. They have purposely created a new, stronger COVID variant and actually told us about it. That's not hyperbole. That actually happened on purpose.
And what are they going to do? Release it?
That's a really good question. I cannot find any article that says why this has happened. But I'll start off the news roundup with that in just a couple of minutes. I mean, it's just a major U.S. university says, it'd be a good idea. Let's see if we can make COVID stronger. Because it was basically to the point of being a cold at this point, assuming you even had any symptoms. So let's take the worst of one strain and put it with the worst of another strain and see if we can't make it worse. Unreal. That actually happened. This isn't fringe right-wing, conspiracy theory, QAnon nonsense. This actually happened. Look in any news source that you want. Also, a beauty product store taking a lot of heat for a podcast they released. Apparently, a lot of women are not fond of having men tell them what being a woman is all about.
Did you see this podcast?
I did.
Oh, my God.
I've got one of the worst clips from this. It's 15 seconds, but it says all you need to know about it.
I mean, the visual of it is...
horrible.
It's scary.
My
it's
goodness.
very creepy and made me feel very uncomfortable.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, goodness. All right, that's Ken Williams. I'm Mike Ferguson, who needs to take a sip of coffee here. What the heck?
Yeah, go for it. You got that grenade cup.
I do. My coffee mug, if you're watching on Rumble, because my favorite 80s hair metal band coffee mug went to an untimely death last week when it slid off my notebook. So my wife bought me this coffee mug that looks exactly like a grenade, which I can't believe she got it back to the house and it was in her luggage when she flew it back, but I've got it anyway. All right, here's what's going on. Again, we're going to get into this in more detail at 6:20, but a U.S. lab intentionally created a stronger strain of COVID, and they're actually telling us about it to some degree. They're not answering a lot of media questions right now. Boston University researchers merged the parts of the Omicron variant, which are the most transmissible and contagious variants, basically the spike proteins, so-called spike proteins. They merged that with the original, novel Wuhan virus to create a new COVID virus that they report has an 80% lethality rate in the mice that they were testing it on.
And they didn't give a reason why.
So I cannot find it. I mean, I'm sure in there they've got something in their paperwork, but they created that on purpose and they intentionally made it more dangerous.
What they always say, and I've read reports of why they do some of this stuff on other types of things, and they say they do it so that they can combat it if it rises. That is such stupid thought, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Like creating a monster that may never even ever exist in the future, but creating it to kill it.
Wait a minute, Ken. Are you saying that playing God might have unintended consequences?
It might.
Yeah. Jeez.
We're already seeing that, I believe.
Yeah, so 6:20. Let's get into that more 6:20. I'm really curious as to what people think about that because the COVID current strain that's out there right now, if you even notice that you have it, it's a freaking cold. The pandemic is over.
Yeah.
It's been over for a long time. It's just government fear-mongering, and now we have some people in white coats literally saying, well, how do we create one that's more dangerous?
So we can release it in the midterms.
Good Lord.
I know that's conspiracy sounding, but that
Just insane. All right, other news happening around the country. Senator Chuck Grassley, he's a Republican from Iowa. He says that he's got evidence that President Biden and his son Hunter may have been involved in a number of international business deals. You think? Fox News' Matt Finn has this story.
Senator Grassley wrote a letter to the U.S. Attorney General and Delaware's U.S. Attorney David Weiss, in which Grassley makes the explosive claim that the FBI has a substantial amount of evidence that allegedly reveals President Biden and his son were shared recipients of a $5 million wire transfer in 2017 from a Chinese energy firm CEFC. Grassley also writes that the FBI has a series of documents with information on the owner of the Ukrainian national gas firm Burisma. Hunter Biden sat on Burisma's board. Grassley wrote in part, quote, "These documents also indicate that Joe Biden was aware of Hunter Biden's business arrangements and may have been involved in some of them."
So President Biden, in response, still maintains that he and his son are incredibly close. He's very proud of him, loves him very much, but doesn't know anything about his business deals.
Yeah. Chuck Grassley, he does some pretty even-toned speculation. Okay, He's always been down the middle, and when he says stuff like this means there's something there.
It certainly looks like it. All right. Oh, it's got a couple minutes left here. Okay, 3 weeks away from Election Day, as I mentioned. J.B. Pritzker and Darren Bailey are debating tonight. That happens in Chicago. WGN is hosting that debate. But locally, if you want to see that, it's going to be on KPLR at 7 o'clock if you want to check out that debate. All right, the Biden administration trying to turn voters away from the economy. I mean, if I were them, that's what I'd be doing. Ahead of the midterm elections, Fox News' Peter Ducey has the story from the White House.
The bigger concern among 89% of those surveyed in a Fox News poll is inflation. White House officials are hoping to reshape the race by talking most about the issue voters are sixth most concerned about, abortion policy.
The assault on women's access to reproductive health care by Republicans official is an assault.
But inflation remains high, and critics are pointing to the nearly $2 trillion American Rescue Plan. The president's approval on the economy overall is just 35%, and on inflation specifically, 29%.
So what's the Biden administration blaming for all of the economic woes? COVID. Never mind all the government shutdowns that were unnecessary. And, of course, Russia.
Yeah, they're living in a bubble right now. Forget crime.
Right.
That's not an issue either. Yeah. And then, you know what is another big issue for them? Climate change.
Oh, yeah.
They're missing the ball. It's like whiffing.
Right. Good Lord. Oh, my goodness. We can make some progress here coming up in 3 weeks. All right, real quick note, federal assistance available for St. Clair, Illinois residents, St. Clair County, Illinois residents, if you were affected by the flash flooding. There is FEMA relief between $3,000 and $7,000 available. Applications now being accepted starting today. For that, FEMA says the applications can be made at disasterassistance.gov. A lot of people damaged by that flooding, obviously. All right, just ahead here. Hey, by the way, stuff's getting more expensive, and at 6:20, we're going to go into more depth over the intentional creation of a more dangerous COVID strain. Yes, that actually has happened. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey folks, here's great news for active aging seniors. The Kanega Watch, the only medical alert smartwatch with built-in fall detection. Yeah, the Kanega Watch is much different than the other guys. It's a stylish, discreet watch you can wear all the time. Get help through the watch in one of 3 ways. Your voice, pushing the watch's alert button, or have the fall detection connect you to a US-based 24/7 monitoring center who'll speak to you through your watch and can send help to your GPS location nationwide. And get this, it can do that even if you're not responsive. This is true 24/7 peace of mind for you and those that love you. Order your Kanega Watch with a full refund 30-day trial period. Call now, 800-413-7152. 800-413-7152. 800-413-7152. That's 800-413-7152.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewstalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jeremy House. Russian attacks in the past week have knocked out 30% of Ukraine's power plants, causing massive blackouts across the country. It's an ominous sign as temperatures drop below freezing in eastern Ukraine with the winter fast approaching. Republican Georgia Governor Brian Kemp and Democratic challenger Stacey Abrams painted different visions for the future of Georgia, clashing on the economy, crime, voting, and education as they debated Monday night. Kemp says elections in Georgia are safe.
Just this past May in our primaries, we again had record turnout in the Republican primary and the Democratic primary. In Georgia, it's easy to vote and hard to cheat.
Abrams says people should exercise their right to vote.
As governor, I intend to stand up for the right to vote. I will always acknowledge the outcome of elections, but I will never deny access to every voter, because that is the responsibility of every American to defend the right to vote.
The debate was aired on Atlanta Press Club, Georgia Public Broadcasting. As the value of the U.S. dollar soars, other currencies around the world are sinking by comparison. This is contributing to skyrocketing prices for everyday goods and services and compounding financial distress, especially in poor countries. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has ordered preparations to allow all of the country's 3 remaining nuclear reactors to continue operating until mid-April. The move marks another hiccup in the country's plan to end the use of atomic energy. A group of major U.S. businesses wants the government to hide key import data, a move trade experts say would make it more difficult for Americans to link the products they buy to labor abuse overseas. On Wall Street, Dow futures are up by 353 points. NASDAQ futures are ahead by 195. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold, the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We're in good shape this morning. We had some overnight road work that had the ramp from northbound 270 to westbound 44 closed, but if you were concerned about that, you needn't be. They got it reopened here in the last few minutes, so everything looks good. Bridge complex downtown is just fine. If you're headed for the Poplar Street Bridge, no delays coming in on 6440 or 70 so far this morning, and 270 up north through the work zone still steady. This support sponsored by Walgreens, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Finding the right Medicare plan was no easy feat until I found Walgreens Find Rx coverage. Compare plans online, over the phone, or in person, and find plans with low-cost copays. When you need to talk Medicare, Walgreens is here. Start shopping today at walgreens.com/Medicare.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
After a frosty start this morning, it's going to be a breezy, chilly day under sunny skies. The high temperature probably getting close to 50, up to about 49 this afternoon. And cold again tonight with sub-freezing temperatures across most of the area. But a warming trend starts tomorrow. Partly cloudy and 53 degrees, and we'll be near 80 by the time we get to the weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Gerhardt.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by The Dental Link. Call Dr. Alan Link today, 314-794-6464 to schedule your free consultation. Offices in Baldwin and Melville, 314-794-6464.
Are you looking for the cheapest prices on car insurance? Then call the Cheap Car Insurance Hotline right now. Hey, you're guaranteed to save money on your car insurance. Most car insurances can be canceled at any time. That means if you find a better deal, you can switch right away. We're not just one company. We offer most of the major brands of car insurance. We're like a discount supermarket for car insurance. And it doesn't matter if you have a good record or a bad driving record. Our agents are experts at finding you the right car insurance for your needs. Our average customer saves hundreds of dollars a year when they call us to switch. So why don't you make this 100% free call right now and see how much you can save on your car insurance. Paid for by AIS Insurance.
800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. That's 800-721-5741.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Tuesday, and we'll talk with Dave Stokes from the Show Me Institute, and we'll discuss the radioactive contamination at the Hazelwood Elementary School.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I love Jesus. He was my superhero.
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Twitter is like being able to read every toilet wall in the world.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin
Okay, this is bizarre. And around 6:20, I'm just giving you a heads up. This is what we're talking about at 6:20. So everybody who's watching on Rumble right now, or Facebook, or where else are they watching this?
At
YouTube.
On YouTube,
yeah. Everybody who's watching,
That
you can
that YouTube channel.
Right, YouTube. I keep forgetting about YouTube because I've got Rumble. That's all I need. You can send in your questions, your comments, or get ready to call us at 314-912-1019. This isn't fringe conspiracy stuff, okay? A lab in the U.S. intentionally created a more dangerous strain of COVID. Just as COVID, through all of its mutations and stuff, has become essentially the equivalent of allergies or a mild cold for most people, a United States lab intentionally puts together a Frankenstein version of this to make it more dangerous. But, of course, it's contained in the lab, is what they're saying. So we'll talk about that at 6:20. This is just insane to me. But Gabe, the scientist, is here, so we'll at least have a scientific perspective right around 6:20. It is 6:07 right now. Gabe's here, like I said. Ken's here as well. Guess what, guys?
What?
Stuff's still getting more expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No
And
surprise.
This includes energy prices continuing to go up, and the White House says it is going to have an impact on heating your homes this winter. They're now acknowledging that. Fox
You don't
News,
say.
Yeah. Fox News' Kevin Cork has the story.
High gas prices, high food prices. And now the Biden administration is warning Americans that, yep, things are just about to get even worse because we're going to be talking about home heating costs on the rise. And we're not just talking about a little bit here, too. It's going to really hit U.S. households. In fact, they're set to pay about $931 on heating this winter. That's up $206 from just last year. That according to the Energy Information Administration. And if that weren't bad enough, get this, the cost to fill it up is, well, it's still on the rise.
Yeah, right now in Missouri, the average cost of gasoline per gallon is $3.46. In Illinois, it's $4.32, $3.87 nationally. If you're keeping score at home, that's a lot more than it was, say, a year and a half ago or so.
Hey, what happened about a year and a half ago? What was the big change? What was-
Exactly.
The only real big thing was Biden came into office
Oh,
with his,
yeah,
with his
all right.
policies.
That's right. Oh, okay.
Bloomberg is reporting that the White House plans to release another 10 to 15 million barrels of oil from the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserves this week, and that those reserves also already depleted. And so we're releasing them when oil costs are very high, whereas we should have been stocking them when oil prices were very low.
It's not very strategic.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, that's for emergencies only. I mean, basically, we broke the glass.
Yeah.
And we started taking out our emergency rations. And tough times are coming, guys. And I'm really hopeful that come these midterms and then the next election, we can kind of right the ship because my goodness.
Yeah, but you don't even know if you notice that what happens is when you do something really damaging, it takes a lot longer to fix it than it does to break it.
True, absolutely.
And that's that. I mean, here's what I'm guessing is that we know the economy sucks. It's going to continue to get worse. Republicans are likely going to take over the House. We'll see about the Senate. I don't know. It looks like there's a lot of momentum on the Republican sides in Pennsylvania and Ohio and maybe Georgia. We'll see. And it looks like Republicans may hold on to the Wisconsin seat. So they could have a narrow majority. We'll see.
Can I bring up that everybody needs to vote?
Sure. Absolutely. 3 weeks from today. Actually, you could go vote today in pretty much everywhere. You can, if you're registered to vote, you can go vote today.
Oh, yeah,
if you want to do your early voting, go to the election authority, bring your ID, and you can vote now if you want to vote. They're not going to change the ballot at this point. But the economic waves from what's happened is going to continue over the next year or two. My guess is that once Republicans take over one or both houses, I think that the left will intentionally try to sink the economy even worse.
Agree.
And then say, look, you gave them control and things got worse.
Yep,
just like we've been saying.
Oh, man. You're right.
I think there's a reason that the Biden administration has not resumed student loan payments until January.
Oh, yeah.
They know they're going to lose at least one of the houses, one of the chambers, maybe both. And you suddenly put $300, $400, $500, $600, $700 a month in additional payments, that affects the economy as well. Now, we should have been paying these bills all along. I mean, I've been paying not the full amount that I'm going to be paying per month, but I've been paying into it because it's interest free.
Yeah.
And so I think when you look at the strategic reserves, they're going to shut that off. The demand for fuel prices going to go back up. We are going to go through a flu season, which is going to be another attempt to panic everybody. So I think what you're looking at here is that bad economic decisions are going to be made more purposely in order to say, look at this. Republicans get a majority and things got even worse. It was better before they were elected. You should go back to giving us complete control.
You know, along that vein, Republicans maybe should start setting expectations. You know, that basically to say what you said, that it takes a lot longer to fix something after you've broken it, and Republicans are going to be cleaning up Democrat messes for a long time. So just setting that expectation might be helpful for after the election, but I'm not sure if they've got that forethought right now.
Karina Jean-Pierre was asked a number of questions about the economy. And I had several choices of the sound bites that I could grab, but they were all essentially the same gobbledygook. Here's one of the exchanges I think that encapsulates their inability to articulate anything good that they're doing with the economy.
More than on inflation. Can you give us a timeline? You've laid out eloquently what the president's been doing. Is there a timeline for when Americans can start feeling some economic pain relief?
So in regards to the Inflation Reduction Act, early next year, they will see some of the pieces of that. When you think about an energy cost, when you think about the Medicare kind of benefits from that, so we'll see some movement on that early next year. But when we talk about inflation, gas prices, that's been something that's the American people have seen for the past several months, several weeks, and as costs has been coming down. down. And the hearing aids that I just laid out, that's something that once I have a clearer timeline that Americans are going to see, that I'll share with you on all of that.
What?
I don't even understand half of what you just said.
What was she talking about? Hearing aids?
Yeah, well, you can get hearing aids over the counter now because they changed federal, which is fine.
Well, thank God. Now we're saved.
Yeah.
But nobody's buying hearing aids every week. We are buying groceries every week.
Yeah.
Help? Maybe? Something?
Did you notice that she said early next year we'll be seeing the results of Inflation Reduction Act?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see. Now, what are they going to say? Let's remember. We'll keep that audio because come early next, I guess, February, March?
Who knows? Yeah, and when it's not there, it's suddenly the Republicans' fault.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what can the Republicans do if they take over just one chamber? Let's say they win the House, but the Senate stays in a tie or whatever. If they win one chamber, all the best we can hope for is sweet gridlock.
Yes.
Yeah. And I love gridlock in Congress.
Yes, stop them from hurting us continually.
Yes.
Well, wouldn't you guys agree that it's more important to have the representation, have not Senate, to have the floor of the Congress?
That's where the spending bills come from.
Yeah. Instead of the Senate. I mean, I'd like to have both, but I mean, the most important one would be that.
It's actually more important to have Congress than it is the White House.
Yes, because you control the legislative calendar.
Yes,
that way, and so then you can keep the bad bills from getting to the floor. You get at the very least put the good bills up. Obviously, they'll get stopped in the Senate, but you can present to the American people what your plan is, and we can actually see where we're going here.
And if the Senate goes to the Republicans as well, we're going to see whether or not Republicans can grow a backbone in Washington, D.C., because the Democrats have held their own. When they really had to pull their outliers in, they did it. Will the Republicans be able to match that? History says, don't bet too much on it, but maybe. We'll see. All right. Just ahead, now that COVID has basically become a nothing burger for most people who are infected with its cold, some laboratory scientists decide, we should do? We should amp up the danger in that again. I'll tell you what they did. This is insane. Love to get your thoughts on it. 314-912-1019.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Already off to a rough start on eastbound 6440. We have a crash right before 170. Looks like it involves a tractor trailer. The two left lanes are closed. Traffic already stop and go back to McKnight and building pretty rapidly. That's our only incident so far, but again, you'll have that delay 64 eastbound approaching 170. This support sponsored by Mucinex DM. Say goodbye to retaking medicine every few hours. Mucinex DM gets cough and chest congestion relief for 3 times longer than your typical 4-hour cough and chest congestion medicines. That's 3 times longer relief. Nothing lasts longer. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Hey everybody, this is Paul Kurtman, host of the Paul Kurtman Show on News Talk STL, but I'm also the president of PR Kurtman Investments. The market is down and inflation is up. So if you have questions about the investments in your portfolio, please let me help. Just send me an email by visiting freedomportfolios.com. There's no cost. The market might be uncertain, but that doesn't mean you should be too. Contact me today, Paul Kurtman, by visiting freedomportfolios.com.
Columbo and Katie.
Their job at this incredibly upscale fancy restaurant in London is to go around to the tables and hand feed grapes to the customers.
I don't even want to be disturbed by a waiter that's filling up my glass every 5 seconds or asking me how I'm doing every 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't imagine someone coming over to me and being like, and a grape for you, my dear.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
Now, the Onder Prescription with Dr. Bob Onder.
I'm Dr. Bob Onder. It's really bad, and it's getting worse. Last week, we learned that inflation continues to roar at 8.2%. Even worse, so-called core inflation, which excludes food and energy, rose 6.6%, the highest in 40 years. So much for inflation being transient. And all this despite 5 Federal Reserve interest rate hikes designed to calm inflation. Meanwhile, stocks are in a bear market, and we are in a recession, not just in the U.S., but worldwide. How in the world did we go from a growing, low-inflation Trump economy to this mess? Answer: the COVID reign of terror and 2 years of overspending under Joe Biden and the Democrats. The repeated budget blowout bills ruined one of the strongest economies the world has ever seen. Time to fix this. I'd suggest on Election Day, November 8th. I'm Dr. Bob, and that's my prescription.
Find more Dr. Bob Onder at bobondermo.com. Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Katie, Jones and Arps.
Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble.
Subscribe and watch
News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the Morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Looking ahead here, 6:35. We learned yesterday when we talked to Tyler O'Neill from the Daily Signal about one state that has some lawmakers trying to do it all wrong when it comes to pushing kids into the so-called transitioning. Well, there are lawmakers in another state that are getting it completely right. So at least there's that. I'll tell you where and what they're doing around 6:35 and also 6:35. If you go to one of the largest makeup stores, beauty stores in the country, you may want to hang out and hear what they were pushing before you go make your next purchase. So once again, that's coming your way in about 13 minutes here on 1019, 94.1 News Talk STL. Boston University researchers say they've developed a new, more lethal COVID strain. I'm going to read that again real quick here before I get to the report. Boston University researchers say they've developed a new, more lethal COVID strain. Sue Guzman.
Researchers at Boston University are the subject of controversy after creating a lab-made hybrid SARS-CoV-2 virus, which they say had an 80% kill rate. They say they added a spike protein from the Omicron variant with the original Wuhan strain to do it. And in testing, it killed 80% of the mice infected with it. And when the mice were only exposed to Omicron, they experienced only minor symptoms. Fox News reached out to the university but did not receive any comment. An early theory of the origins of COVID-19 said it came from a wet market in Wuhan, but some suspect the virus was engineered at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Sue Guzman, Fox News.
Okay, let me set this in context, and then I want to be as open-minded as possible on this. The context here is that as we have seen, as every strain that comes through that the media fearmongers over and Gavin Newsom wets his pants over and extends, authoritarianism over in all the blue states and blue areas where they can get away with it. What we have seen is that whatever is out there now with COVID is basically the equivalent of a mild cold or allergy, assuming you even notice that you have it at all. And so white coats in a laboratory say, let's come up with a way to make it more dangerous. Okay, this is not your field of science, Gabe,
Right.
but you are educated and you are trained in the scientific methodology.
Mm-hmm.
What on earth could possibly be a motivation to say, boy, this thing really isn't dangerous anymore? We know how to fix that.
As far as I can tell, the sole reason for gain of function research to exist at all, the very process of it, is to, particularly when it comes to diseases anyways, understanding current and future pandemics, is to build a knowledge base, basically, to experiment with rats, create a pandemic among your laboratory rats, and then see if you can fix the issue that you just caused.
Well, you will understand it if you create it.
Yeah,
I mean, this is Frankenstein, right?
This is Frankenstein bullcrap. This is the type of stuff that they base movie franchises off of. It's like, say, there's somebody who had some bright idea to have an experiment in some basement someplace. There's an accident. It gets out. Then we have the zombie apocalypse. I mean, that obviously Hollywood has hyper contextualized that thing, but the idea is the same. The cultural warning that we see from a lot of our fiction is based in real life. We need to be careful about the way we wield science, because the results can be horrific at times. And if the original novel virus was some lab creation, which there are some indications that point to that, we've already experienced it. We've already experienced the first of this thing. So gain of function research is the bane of our existence. It's pretty new because it's based in genetic engineering technology that's only recently been developed. So I don't know why we need it. I think it should be banned. I think scientific ethics precludes us from continuing down this path, but here we are. And I bet that university used pandemic funds to fund their research.
Yeah, that wouldn't be surprised.
And the thing that puzzles me is that we have this Wuhan original, the novel coronavirus that there's argument that it slipped out of a laboratory. It accidentally got out somehow. It could have been intentionally removed by some lunatic, but look what we suffered from it. They're doing this thing now, and they're saying, well, it's completely secure. I don't trust that for a second.
Bad things happen when you play God.
Yeah.
But the other part of this is we've watched this for the last 2 going on 3 years, to where the original strain was really rough for a lot of people, myself included. I was in that first wave of hospitalizations with this, but it's still at a 99.7 some odd percent survival rate. Most of the deaths were of older people and people with serious comorbidities. And then with each evolving strain, it became weaker and weaker and weaker, and our immunity just overall grew and grew and grew. And it ran its course. So why the hell are we creating something to say, let's take the worst of this strain and put it with the worst of this strain? Oh, look at this, an 80% kill rate.
I don't understand it at all. There's no justification that makes sense that I can think of. Hey, if you've got a justification out there, if you're an expert, give us a call and let us know what the heck's going on here. Because as far as I can turn, it's Frankenstein bullcrap that's going to hurt somebody.
And Steve's on the line. He might have some more information.
Hey, Steve, you're on News Talk STL.
Hey, good morning, guys. I just did a little more searching on this issue. I spent 35 years in the medical industry, and reading a lot of different articles and research, et cetera. And so I did a little more digging. I haven't gotten totally in depth in this thing, but there is a reputation, and I emailed this to all 3 of you guys just in the last few minutes. But there is a story from Boston University refuting the gist, well, not the gist, but the sensationalism of that they claim the article possesses, and also the actual abstract of the study. What they did was they were trying to help determine what component of the virus makes it most deadly. And in doing that, they took basically the capsule or the body of the original COVID strain. They combined it with the spike protein, the S1 protein from the Omicron strain, trying to isolate which of those two factors was actually causing the disease. And in doing this, the strain of mice they used actually is apparently more susceptible to COVID for research purposes than most mice or human beings. And the result they did determine, according to the study, was that, yes, it is more deadly than Omicron, but is less what they created, but it's less deadly than the original. So it's not quite, what's being made out to be. I mean, obviously, the original strain is still in labs all over the world being studied. And so this, to me, I think it could be seen as some legit. They're using a level 3 biosafety lab, so it's fairly secure. So I'm not sure that the story quite lives up to the sensationalism that we're seeing on the original Mail article or the pickup coverage from other places. So you guys might want to check out what I sent you. I don't know what.
Well, I mean, everything you just
that might be.
Yeah, but everything you just said just matches what that report we just said, that they took the spike proteins, put it on the Omicron, and created something more transmissible and more deadly in their test study. I mean, that's exactly what we just said.
More deadly than Omicron,
right?
Not more deadly than the original,
but more deadly than what's out there now.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Steve, the original, what was the level of safety on the Wuhan lab?
Well, we all know that was whatever it was reputed to be. It wasn't their standards, and they didn't live up to whatever they were supposed to be doing. They were very sloppy.
And that's my concern: is this current lab going to live up to the level 3?
Yeah. Well, they've got all the the institutional review boards, and they've got a lot more accountability than any place in China would have. So I'm not totally defending this research.
Sure, yeah, we
totally maybe a little bit more to it and a little bit of nuance than some of the original news articles are stating.
Yeah, we appreciate the context for sure. Thank you. But
I mean, that's what I said. I'm trying to be as open-minded as I possibly can on this.
Right.
Yeah. I do tend to believe. I mean, I'm with you guys. I think there's a good chance this was created in a lab in China, and I'm pretty much on board with most of what you say. Pretty much everything you guys have been on with COVID, but I think this. We don't want to get over our skis on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of watch the. But I agree. This is this stuff can be very dangerous.
Oh, without a doubt.
It does leak out, yeah.
All right. Hey, Steve, appreciate you being on the program. I got to get you an information segment right here.
Cheers, Steve.
It still seems insane to me that we're messing with this.
My point still stands that I don't think gain-of-function research is worth it.
Yep. All right, just ahead here. One state gets it right when it comes to parents and child abuse charges and pushing kids or
This is Place to Talk.
The American people have further lost faith in our governmental institutions.
People can decide what they want and how they want to live.
News Talk STL.
News, analysis, opinion.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasevich. Mayor Tashara Jones said Saturday that she plans to sign an executive order to establish a commission on reparations for St. Louis City. Jones did not have a date when people could expect the order to be signed, saying there were steps that included the city councilor that still needed to be taken. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft has submitted a proposed rule change that would establish a certification requirement for libraries receiving state funds and institute measures to protect minors from non-age appropriate materials. Under the plan, public libraries would have to adopt policies to determine what material is appropriate for certain ages. Midland States Bank is seeking to evict Barrett Academy, a private Chesterfield high school with a history of financial troubles. The bank said in a lawsuit that it owns Barrett's property and that the school has retained possession of the property past its lease. Tesla has signed a lease for nearly 667,000 square feet of warehouse space at Gateway Tradeport, a planned industrial park in Pontoon Beach. It's not clear what Tesla has planned for the warehouse, which is already under construction. And in sports, the Cardinals general manager, Michael Gersh, and Randy Flores, the team's assistant general manager and director of scouting, have both agreed to contract extensions with the team. Each contract is extended for multiple years. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We had a crash 64 eastbound at McKnight that was blocking the two left lanes, but it cleared at 6:25, so traffic's had a little time to thin out. It wasn't too bad anyway. That was our only real delay, so at the moment everything else is still pretty steady. 55 starting to build some volume headed into the work zone in South St. Louis. That is about it. This report sponsored by Mucinex DM. Not all coughs are the same. Buy Mucinex DM and get cough and chest congestion for 3 times longer than your typical 4-hour cough and chest congestion medicines. With Mucinex DM, it's not cold and flu season, it's always comeback season. I'm Joe Sonderman. That's the latest from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
After a frosty start this morning, it's going to be a breezy, chilly day under sunny skies. The high temperature probably getting close to 50, up to about 49 this afternoon, and cold again tonight with sub-freezing temperatures across most of the area, but a warming trend starts tomorrow. Partly cloudy and 53 degrees, and we'll be at near 80 by the time we get to the weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Gerhardt.
Start a podcast for your business today with Epic STL Podcasts. Engage existing and potential customers, build trust in your brand, and drive traffic to your business. Log on to NewstalkSTL.com and click on the Epic STL Podcast button to learn more.
With the new year comes a lot of new financial goals and business goals for your household. And when you're making big decisions, you need somebody on your side who's going to fight for your family and give you the best advice for you and your family. And I'm telling you, that is Rodney and Jen. Mike Ferguson here for the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. Here's the number, 314-810-SOLD. Easy to remember, 314-810-SOLD. Is this the right time for you to sell your home? Maybe, maybe not. But Rodney and Jen are going to give you unbiased opinions on that. Listen, they sell about 15 times more homes than the typical real estate team or agent in St. Louis. There's a reason for that, and that is because, first of all, they have so many pre-qualified buyers that they are going to guarantee that you get an offer. But secondly, talk to them for a few minutes and you're going to find out what the difference is. They take an interest in what's best for your family. They don't just simply do a search on their real estate internet thing and say, all right, here's a few things. Let me know if you want to go look at it. No, they want to know what this is supposed to do for you. They put their family perspective to work for your family perspective. So not only do you have resources backed by one of the top real estate firms in the country, but you've got a local family who knows the market. They are among the best at what they do, and they have that added benefit of just being great people. 314-810-SOLD. Even if you just have questions, call Rodney and Jen. One of them will pick up that phone. 314-810-SOLD. You're not getting an assistant. You're not getting a call center. You're getting Rodney or Jen Wallner. 314-810-SOLD.
Steph's Pizza, legendary St. Louis-style pizza and pasta. Just the name makes your mouth water. Also, for your next get-together, pick up a Steph's Party Platter. And if it's Monday, you get a large pizza for the price of a small. Steph's Pizza in St. Charles County and Chesterfield Valley. Steph's Pizza is always convenient for pickup or delivery. Check them out at Steph'sPizza.com. Tonight's a good night for legendary Steph's Pizza.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
But I'm not going to turn my dial off for you guys. I really like this channel.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Man, we got a lot of ground to cover today. Right around 7:05, State Representative Tony Lavasco is going to be with us, going to get his take on the upcoming ballot constitutional amendment proposals. And also, let's look at what messaging should be working for conservatives, for free marketeers like those of us in this room. So 314-912-1019, you want to get involved in any of these conversations. At 6:50, a surprising number of Americans are thinking about going, Thanksgiving, I'm kind of done with it.
Really?
Or at least this year.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that in just a little bit here.
We got John on the line. He just wants to ask about a variation of what we were talking about.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we can do that.
Hey, John.
Yeah, John, you're on News Talk STL.
Okay, I was listening to Gordon Chang, they always bring out, he's an expert on China, and he was sort of warning people not to be giving their DNA to Ancestry.com and all these, because these are companies that are sponsored by China. All this DNA they collect, he thinks that they might be trying to develop profiles of different races and people, ethnic groups, that they didn't develop viruses to attack that specific group. I thought that was kind of that's kind of a far out thing. That makes
pretty far out. I don't have any information
know.
on that whatsoever. I mean, I don't do those because I know it does go into database, and government has purchased those. For other reasons, and they're building databases on it, but I haven't heard anything about the other one. But hey, John, appreciate you being a part of News Talk STL.
Thanks, John.
All right, we mentioned yesterday that, we talked to the Daily Signal's Tyler O'Neill, the managing editor. He had a story about in Virginia, some lawmakers want to expand the definition of criminal child abuse and criminal child neglect to include not allowing your boy to wear a dress and kowtow to your child's demand to be called she, her. If a parent says, no, you're a boy, we're going to work through this. There are left-wing lawmakers who want to make that a crime where you can be charged with child abuse. Okay, so that, go to the News Talk STL Facebook page. You can find the podcast of that discussion. The little bit of a silver lining here is that in Michigan, some state representatives have introduced legislation that would make it a first-degree child abuse crime to allow children to undergo any sort of so-called gender transition, hormones, puberty blockers, certainly surgery. Now, this doesn't necessarily go to like cross-dressing in school and pronouns and stuff.
Sure.
But anything that would alter the body for a minor, even if the parents say it's okay, that would be included under child abuse and neglect. Thoughts?
Absolutely, because all of those things have a permanent effect.
Yep.
All of those things are related to issues that a child should not have the a recognized ability to consent to. So, yeah, absolutely. I think it's beyond the pale that it's happening even now.
I was thinking about this the other day. Growing up in South County here, as a kid, we had a big neighborhood full of kids. And one of the boys, he was definitely feminine. I mean, he was going to be, he hung with the girls. He was just, that's the way he was, And yeah, he did get made fun of, but we actually didn't make fun of him. My group didn't. He was just accepted, named Billy. That was his name, and he was just that way. He naturally grew up. I've talked with him actually on Facebook recently, and he's just a well-developed guy, who's gay, and my point is that if you start and he could have very easily gone another way, but if you start shoving these blockers and things into children until they can naturally develop the way they're going to, you're causing a problem with them.
Yeah.
And I mean, not just physical, but psychological.
And is Billy about your age?
Yeah.
Okay, so if he decided he wanted to do that now, that's his choice.
Yeah.
He can do what he wants.
Right.
Nobody's stopping him.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about, remember, some of these things in public schools in particular are targeted, and Planned Parenthood is now running an ad campaign trying to recruit children to so-called transition. They're targeted at children as young as 5 and 6 years old.
Yeah, which makes no sense. Kids who just as easily believe themselves to be Spider-Man. There's a portion of the brain that understands reality that isn't done yet in those people. It's the reason why we have consent laws. That's the purpose of consent laws is to establish and adulthood, age of majority, is to establish a period of time in which you are not liable for your and also that you can't make permanent decisions that are going to harm yourself because you're not ready for those things yet.
So let me try to play devil's advocate, meaning
Sure.
I'll try to be a liberal for a second here. Try to get into their head for a second.
Don't
here.
hurt yourself.
Yeah. And they're going to say, but you conservatives have been talking about parental rights this whole time. If a parent says it's okay, then why are you interfering with the family? That's what you're saying that everybody else is doing.
Parents don't have rights to permanently damage their children.
There you go.
They don't. That's called child abuse.
That's called child abuse.
They have laws against that.
Now, the governor of Michigan is never going to allow this bill to become law.
Sure.
So that's never going to happen. But at least they're on the right track.
The current governor of Michigan.
The current governor of Michigan.
Yeah.
And let me just point out here that it is ridiculous that we are talking about so-called transgender anything this much, but this is the culture war battleground that the left chose to create. This is what they put on there, and they've had success in recruiting people and children into this. So you better believe that we're pushing back hard on this. And this is still, by those who are so-called transgender, still a fraction of 1%. But the recruitment effort is just unreal. For instance, do I have another minute or so, Ken?
Yeah.
Okay. So Ulta Beauty makeup store, apparently they've got a video podcast thing. And a recent episode that they had that was called of like the beauty of being a girl or something like that. And 2 men were having a discussion. Both of them in makeup. One of them with like long girly hair and a beard, and the other one's just a dude dressed in a dress with all the makeup on. And
who identifies as a girl,
not
a woman, a girl.
Right, yeah. And so they have this thing, and the guy who you're going to hear talking is named Dylan Mulvaney, and he's in a dress, and he's talking about he's a girl and all this kind of stuff. Here's actually part of what he said.
Now I know I can find love. I know I can still be a performer. I know that I can have a family. I want to be a mom one day. And I absolutely can. And that's why the narrative still has a long way to go, because when I was grieving Boy Dylan, I didn't know those things were even accessible to me.
You can't be a mom, dude.
That's like everything this person said is wrong.
Okay, the reaction.
He's not going to give birth to it. He's not going to be a mom by birth.
No. So he... Ulta just got a massive ratio response to this.
Oh my God, it
was unreal. My wife sent me the link to this on Twitter, actually the Twitter thing, and I looked at it, and at the time it was like 95% negative. They've been hiding replies. They've got a team of people apparently hiding replies to where it now looks like it's a little more balanced. Some people like it, some people don't. But you look at some of the comments that have come in. Some people called it woman face.
Instead of blackface.
Yeah. Some people call it, mansplaining to women. So you have 2 men talking about what it means to be a woman.
Yes.
And a girl.
Right, and a girl, yeah. And this was like a girlhood series and their thing, something like that. But you look at some of the reactions. I mean, and originally at that time, it was, because I saw it pretty close to when they posted it because my wife sent it to me. And it was brutal to them.
That's good to see, because one of the things that I've lamented is the silence of the feminists in the face of all this.
Yeah,
stuff.
really.
Oh, Gabe, some of these posts were so bad, man.
Yeah.
And I was proud of them. These women, they were like, what are you doing, dudes? We're women.
Mm-hmm.
Allie Beth Stuckey, who's been on the show with us, I want to be a mother one day, and I absolutely can. No, you cannot. You can buy all the eggs, rent all the wombs, and wear all the makeup you want, but you cannot be a mother, and that's okay. Accept who you are and don't try to be something you can't. Lauren Chen says the fact that an adult male is obsessed with girlhood, not even womanhood, but girlhood, is just straight up creepy. Whatever happened to shutting up and selling makeup, Ulta Beauty?
And that's why I said girl.
Yeah. one of Ron DeSantis' staff members, Christina Pushaw, had a really good response. She says, "Girlhood isn't something you can buy from Ulta."
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Brittany Hughes, we've used her commentary from time to time. Two men sitting around talking about girlhood is peak erasure of women. Way to insult your entire customer base, Ulta Beauty. And it just goes on and on and on and on this.
And I'll note that a lot of those were saying, we're not buying your product any longer.
Yep. I bet they will, though. I mean, some won't, but...
There are a lot of other options out there.
Oh, yeah, there are a lot of them out there. 314-912-1019. Interesting survey. We've got the holidays coming up, not just the elections, but the holidays. A surprising number of Americans are saying, I don't know about this Thanksgiving thing this year.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about it. Just ahead, right around 6:52 on 101.9 News Talk STL.
This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We look better if I-64 eastbound is your normal route. Go ahead and take it this morning. We had a crash at McKnight, but it's been cleared for about 15 minutes now, and everything is thinned out. 55 north is building that heavy traffic approaching Bayless up through Virginia. Add 5 minutes to your commute. Add a minute or so. 270 northbound running up through Tesson Ferry and Gravois. That's starting to pick up some volume. And 55 southbound at Bayless. We've got a fender bender, but it's off on the right side. This report is sponsored by Lowe's, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
At Lowe's, every Pro is an MVP to us. MVP's Pro Rewards members visit Lowe's now and earn bonus points on products and brands like DeWalt. Then redeem for Lowe's e-gift cards and more. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees. After applicable discounts, if any. Subject to program terms. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP bonus points for details. Now through 10/28.
The candidates.
We're going to win this campaign.
The issues.
Gas prices, Biden inflation.
The election news, analysis, and opinion.
You won't get anywhere else.
Decision 2022 happens.
There's a backlash coming on News Talk STL.
Colombo here for Agers Heating and Air Conditioning. We trust Agers with our home because their number one priority is doing right by the customer. Temperatures are changing outside, and as we transition from warmer temps to cooler ones, if you have any issues keeping your family comfortable, don't wait. Call the great team at Agers so they can address the issue before it gets worse. Because whether it's repairs or replacement, Agers is there with the clarity and attention to detail your home deserves. Contact Agers now at 636-242-6515 or through their website, callagers.com.
Do you have a property that is more hassle than is worth? Hi, this is David with House Sold Easy, and I buy houses cash. If you own a property and you want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-293-3000. Do you own an ugly property, a behind on mortgage payment property, a lazy tenant that won't pay rent property, a too much junk and clutter property, or even a, hey, I'm curious about a fair cash offer property? Well, don't worry. I buy them all, and I want to make you a fair cash offer. Call me at 314-293-3000.
We can't broadcast that stuff.
Bongino.
When Donald Trump said he was spied on, the Hunter Biden laptop was real. Two things that are absolutely, positively confirmed as factually accurate. Leslie Stahl was like, sir!
Weekdays at 11
on News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
You're going to love this one, guys. The 720 got the updated bill for Cori Bush's private security.
Oh,
all right.
Yeah,
it keeps going up, I imagine.
Yeah, it does. It does. We've hit a new milestone.
Really?
Yep. So we'll do that around 7:20. At 7:05, we've got State Representative Tony Lovasco. Let's talk elections. Let's talk the importance of getting actual conservatives and free marketeers into the state legislature. And I want to ask him about his thoughts on the upcoming proposed constitutional amendments as well. I'm Mike Ferguson. It is 6:52, coming up on 6:53. Got Gabe in the studio, got Ken in the studio. Interesting survey that was done by a financial group called personalcapital.com. 47% of Americans say they plan to host or attend a Friendsgiving, not really a traditional Thanksgiving. And the most popular main course for Friendsgiving celebrations this year is pizza.
Sounds exciting.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. In part, it's because of rising cost of the food.
Okay.
And so they had an interesting survey. If you look at the whole detail thing, even people who are doing Thanksgiving, they're altering it. They're not inviting as many people over. They're not going to have as big of a meal. They're going to replace some traditional things with something cheaper, and it is because of the rising cost of, poultry and other agriculture products and everything that goes along with that, supply chain issues and that sort of thing. And people were asked if rising grocery store prices had them thinking about canceling Thanksgiving, and a lot of people actually said yes. 1 in 4 Americans plan to skip Thanksgiving this year to save money, especially true of the youngest adults, the so-called Generation Z on this. Now, this is weird for me because, one, I'm now at the stage of life where my wife and I host Thanksgiving with our family.
Right.
So my mom's coming in from Kansas City. My brother and his wife are coming in from Chicago. My daughter already lives here. And so we're like the host of it. When I was growing up, this was my dad's favorite holiday.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. This was his favorite holiday, even more so than Christmas. And he was a Baptist preacher. But Thanksgiving. And so I think a lot of people, it looks like, are just an increasing number, especially the younger ones, are going, I don't really get the big deal about it. Why spend all the money to do this?
Now, I wonder, and maybe this is me being down on Zoomers again because I do that. I wonder if part of it is because they can't cook.
That's part.
And that's the lighter kind of version of it. And the other part is like I'm wondering if they look at family the way we do.
No, I don't think they do.
You know what I mean? It's because my generation and older, I think we're still in that. Oh, you got to get all the family together. You get as many people basically as you can fit in one house as possible. You have the kids running around, and that's what life is supposed to be like. This is the best part of life is just being with your family. And I don't see Zoomers responding that way. I think they identify a lot more with their friends, which would make sense for a Friendsgiving, right?
They don't identify with Norman Rockwell painting.
Right. Yes. They don't want that.
See, when you first mentioned this to me, I thought it was going to be something about a protest against Columbus coming over.
Oh, no.
Curse those pilgrims and their white privilege.
Right. Exactly. But you know what? We've got a tradition in my house where the whole family gets, it's a big deal. And I've got an 18-year-old and a 22-year-old who might qualify for that Friendsgiving, but man, I'll tell you what, they are very passionate about family. And I think it has a lot to do with the way they were brought up,
Oh, without a doubt.
And if you have people that are that age that maybe they don't have that traditional feeling, it might be because they could be only children, the parents were disengaged with them, whatever.
The traditional family is disappearing in America.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right,
Yeah, without a doubt. Now, I would tell you that before Rachel and I got married, I would say her close circle of friends is and was more of a family to her than her actual family.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told her that, and I think she agrees. And I don't really have in-laws that we have relationships with, but her close circle of friends are more like an in-law family.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a little bit on that, but that's an unusual situation. But if
those things happen.
Having Thanksgiving with a bunch of friends instead of blood relatives, nothing wrong with that at all. I think that's actually really cool.
It's still Thanksgiving.
Yeah, there's always somebody who's not related in the
yeah.
house.
There are lots of people at my church. Either they can't get to their family, or they have estranged family, or whatever the situation is, and I invite them over. Yeah,
absolutely.
Come on over. It'll be Thanksgiving still.
Now, can I say that I don't think there's any shame in just ordering the Thanksgiving meal and picking it up?
Oh no,
no shame in that whatsoever.
Still good, man.
Hey, if you could plunk the money down, you can do that.
Yeah, and I've told Rachel and Melissa's my sister-in-law, and I said, listen, you guys need to get that order in now because at some point they're going to run out of turkeys. You better get your order in because I'm not allowed to do this stuff, and I wouldn't know how to do it if I wanted to. That's just a little bit of, I guess, stereotypical gender roles in the Ferguson family.
Well, he may even be listening right now. My brother Jim, he's the person in our family who does all the cooking for these holidays, and he is really good at it. And he takes all the recipes of my parents, and he transfers them to his family.
Okay,
I mean, it's
so
great.
what time are we supposed to be there?
I'll let you know.
Okay.
I have 5 sisters, and all of them can cook.
Yes.
There you. Oh, that's awesome.
It's not a matter of like the Ferguson women can't cook; they can. They just rather
not
spend time hanging out with the rest of us.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, just ahead here, State Representative Tony Lavasco. Let's talk politics, campaigns, maybe these constitutional amendments right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Are you downright disgusted with the corruption of our Democratic leadership at St. Louis City Hall that's been reported in the news?
Hi, this is Mary Teresa McLean, Chair of the Republican Party City of St. Louis. If you want to put our city that we all love back on track, you must get involved. If you're ready to be part of the solution, we invite you. Come and meet us. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News and World Report has recognized Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. That's 800-561-3405.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jeremy House. Airstrikes have again pounded energy and infrastructure facilities in Ukraine, part of an apparent quickening effort by Russia to drive Ukrainians into the cold and dark as winter approaches. Authorities say missile strikes also hit an energy facility in Kiev and severely damaged another in the southern central city of Dnipro. Collecting firewood and pulling up water from wells, tens of thousands of Ukrainians are digging in for the cold months as the war with Russia rages on. Many residents of the Kharkiv region have been living without gas, water, and electricity for weeks after Russian strikes cut off utilities in many cities and towns. Immigration, police violence, and opioid addiction were among the topics debated last night by the candidates for U.S. Senate from Ohio. GOP hopeful J.D. Vance says while he thinks it would be good for former President Donald Trump to testify, he still has reservations about the January 6th committee's work.
I think it would probably be a pretty enlightening piece of testimony if he did honor the subpoena. But look, the January 6th committee has shown from the very beginning that it's not interested in the truth.
Democratic Representative Tim Ryan had some harsh words for those who rioted at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th.
I do think that the insurrection was a group of people who were trying to overthrow the United States of America.
The debate was carried on WFMJ-TV. European Union leaders enter a crucial stretch this week to make sure runaway energy prices and short supplies do not further weaken their struggling economies and foment unrest. At the same time, they need to keep all 27 members united in their opposition to Russian President Vladimir Putin. On Wall Street, Dow futures are ahead 507 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Extra heavy 55 northbound between Bayless and Gasconade. There was an accident in the southbound lanes that has since cleared. It was a bit of an attention grabber as you headed into the work zone on the northbound side. At about 11 minutes to your drive there. 170 south getting pretty busy south of the Parkway to 64. 270 north, we've got an incident on the right side before Tesson Ferry, so that's a little busy. Then 44 up to Manchester has slow pockets. 70 east Route A to Lake St. Louis looks busy. 61 south Route A to I-70 looks crowded as well. This report is sponsored by Walgreens. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Finding the right Medicare plan was no easy feat until I found Walgreens Find Rx coverage. Compare plans online, over the phone, or in person, and find plans with low-cost copays. When you need to talk Medicare, Walgreens is here. Start shopping today at walgreens.com/Medicare.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
After a frosty start this morning, it's going to be a breezy, chilly day under sunny skies. The high temperature probably getting close to 50, up to about 49 this afternoon, and cold again tonight with sub-freezing temperatures across most of the area, but a warming trend starts tomorrow. Partly cloudy and 53 degrees, and we'll be at near 80 by the time we get to the weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
855-672-1566. 855-672-1566. That's 855-672-1566.
Hey, it's Katie reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin
All right, looking ahead here real quick, we got a new update on the total tab of Cori Bush's private security. You remember her? She's the defund the police Congress critter. And then also another social media company maybe having a new owner. Talk about that right around 7:20. Right now we've got State Representative Tony Lavasco with us. And Tony, first of all, good morning. Appreciate you being on the program once again. I want to start with the elections 3 weeks from right now. And I have been through enough elections to know that you're getting to the point where you're tired, right? I mean, in a campaign, especially for re-election.
It is something that is always interesting every cycle. You have this little curve that you go through in which you're kind of excited to go do it again. You're going to go out and meet people, and you're going to raise money, and then you kind of want to ready for it to be done. It starts to get a little hot out, you get a little tired, and then towards the end, it's like, oh, we're getting towards the end. I'm excited. So we're getting there. I'm lucky I don't have an opponent in November, so I'm more crossing my fingers and worrying for other folks. So.
Okay, well then let me follow up with that then, because who everybody else elects is going to shape the momentum going into the next legislative session. Let's talk about how important is it that obviously the primaries we've decided how conservative or how libertarian or how free market the Republican nominees are going to be, but how important is it to bolster maybe those numbers of conservatives as opposed to just Republicans in the legislature?
Oh, it's super important. People sometimes take for granted that we've got this, supposed supermajority in Jefferson City, and we've talked many times on the show about how the Republican Party perhaps has lost its way in some regards when it comes to really demanding that we elect people that are going to be strong with the platform. But even setting that aside. A lot of people kind of think, well, come November, it doesn't really matter. I don't have to go out and vote. Like, the Republican's going to win anyway. It's going to be predetermined. And that's not the case at all. I think our congressional delegation, pretty well, you can predict what it's going to look like. There's not a whole lot of surprises there. But when you start looking at the state level, that's a whole lot different. When you got people that are actually out there knocking doors, meeting people, connecting face to face, that changes the game. People are a lot less likely to just vote straight party ticket when they actually get to know the person that is on the ballot. And so we can't take for granted that all of our people are going to come out and vote, and that our people are going to win in November just because it's a Republican district. And the makeup of the state legislature is absolutely critical to things like taxes, to policy, regulation, all the things that the congressional delegation gets to talk about, but quite frankly, very rarely gets to actually influence up in Washington. In Jeff City, it matters.
Good morning, Tony. Gabe Pfeiffer here. We're exactly 3 weeks to the day from Election Day, and right about now is, I think, when the typically disengaged voters start paying attention to things. So what's the best messaging for GOP candidates and supporters to get the independents and the undecideds to come to the right side of history here?
I think it's just you got to connect with people where they are. I think one of the things that all politicians, myself included, have fallen into from time to time is, we want to talk about what we care about, right? That's whatever got us excited about running, or the things that we want to work on next year, and that's great. You want to do that. You got to tell people who you are, but at the same time, they're looking to vote for somebody who's going to talk about and care about the things that they care about. And sometimes the hardest part of any election cycle is kind of figuring out, like, what is it that the voters really care about this cycle? What is it that people are really worried about? These days it's a lot easier. People are worried about their pocketbooks. I think, it didn't take a whole lot of analysis to discover that the price of everything is through the roof, and people are worried. And you got to make sure that when you're going door to door, when you're making those ads, that you're not talking about some fringe issue that sounds good when you're on the radio, but in reality doesn't actually affect people's lives. You got to talk about the brass tacks.
Good morning, Tony. This is Ken. As you're sitting there contemplating the new term, what is the thing that you most look forward to, and what is the thing you actually are you most concerned about in the new term?
Ooh, that's an excellent question. I would say most looking forward to is going to be just kind of the new group of folks we've got coming in. Because we've had redistricting, we've got a big change in both the number of folks that are coming in that are new, but also just different types of people that don't typically tend to run in normal cycles. A lot of times when the district lines change, a lot of people start looking at getting involved that maybe weren't necessarily eyeing it before because, maybe now they're in a new district, their guy is no longer their guy, and so that kind of opens up some opportunities. So I think we're going to have a different group of people and a different kind of mix of personalities, and I'm kind of excited to see how that's going to just kind of shape legislation. And a lot of opportunities come from unknowns because you don't necessarily have that guaranteed outcome, as I kind of talked about before. Worst thing I'm worried about, that kind of goes the other direction as well. When you get a lot of new folks in, there's a lot of potential, but it also goes the other way. We could easily see a kind of a tipping point in which the already kind of murky lands of not so rock solid Republicans might start to get momentum in the other direction. So it's super important that once we get past November, once we're locked into who people's reps are going to be, that people hold them accountable and make sure that they vote the way they said they did when on the campaign trail.
We're visiting with State Representative Tony Lovasco. Tony, let's talk about some of these proposed constitutional amendments. Obviously, the biggest one is Amendment 3 that everybody's talking about. 39 pages that will decriminalize to some degree and otherwise legalize recreational marijuana in the state. So many different layers of debate and pros and cons on this. What's your take on the amendment?
I am not a fan, I got to tell you. And this coming from someone who co-sponsored a recreational marijuana bill, I do favor the idea of getting government out of the way of this market. But this amendment doesn't do that really at all. It creates so much more bureaucracy than anybody would ever envision is a reasonable way to tackle this. Not only that, but it doesn't even, deliver on its promise of decriminalization in any real regard. It creates a new marijuana possession crime in the Constitution, requiring cops to stop and cite people if they see them smoking out in public. There's a bunch of things that not only is it not something that's designed or should be in the Constitution, if we're going to do any of this nonsense, at the very least, it needs to be a statute where we can tweak it. But beyond that, it's not really reform. It's just kind of more of the same, bureaucracy, the more of the same regulatory structure that we see from the medical marijuana program, which a lot of people think has been successful, but it really hasn't. The 80-something, 90% of applicants for the existing medical marijuana program that this is modeled after have been denied. Most people that want to enter that marketplace are not able to. And as a result, you get the predictable results of a monopoly. You get higher prices, you get poor service. So I don't think it's the way to go at all.
All right, and we've got a few others on there. For instance, there's one regarding law enforcement and police and funding. Can you clarify what that is all about?
Yeah, so that I think that was a well-meaning, well-intentioned thing that the legislature put on the ballot. I was one of, I think, only 3 Republicans that voted against it, so take that for what it's worth. But basically, it would require the police departments out in Kansas City to be maintained at a certain level of funding. The idea was it was designed to kind of counteract the defund the police effort that's going on over there, which I understand. I don't want to defund the police. At the same time, I don't think it's a particularly conservative or small government position to be putting in our Constitution that a particular government agency is guaranteed funding. I think you got to look at any particular department or agency and assess how much money to give them based on the merits, based on the need. Locking that in at the constitutional level, I don't think that's good policy.
Okay, and another question that's on the ballot has to do with creating a separate department, moving the National Guard from Department of Public Safety into its own department. Is that just simply about the structure and the reporting lines, or is that something that actually affects state government in a bigger way?
No, that's pretty procedural. It sounds kind of scary, creating this new department. It's really just kind of renaming stuff. The main purpose of it is to give the governor more direct control over our state's military, so that they don't have to, basically go through a middleman in order to deploy them. It's a very procedural thing that it had to go in the Constitution because, like so many things in Missouri, that's where it was to begin with. So
okay, so and that's Amendment 5 is what we're talking about on that one. All right, Tony Lovasco, Missouri State Representative. Appreciate the update. I guess we can go ahead and congratulate you on your win in your next term.
Oh, I appreciate that.
All right, Tony. What's a website people want to check you out?
TonyLovasco.com.
All right, easy enough. All right, Tony, good to talk to you again.
Likewise.
All right, just ahead here. What's the running tab on Cori Bush's private security? Cori, defund the police, Bush. I've got that update for you. And another social media company looks like is getting a new owner. I'll tell you who that is and what that could mean, if anything. It's all just ahead at 7:20 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin God. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You want to give me more. all the information.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Southbound 170 at the Galleria Parkway, north of 64. We've got a stalled vehicle blocking the left lane. MoDOT is with them, but you do have a delay back north of the Parkway. 55 northbound, it's Bayless up through Gasconade, so add about 9 minutes to your commute. 270 north looks better. We cleared a couple of incidents. There are some busy pockets as you approach 21, and again coming up through Big Bend and Manchester, but it's not jammed like it was. And 61 south, we're picking up some slow traffic. Route 80 to 70. 70 east is crowding as you approach Lake St. Louis. This report sponsored by Lowe's. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Thinking about an appliance purchase or having something installed, like flooring, kitchen, or bath? You can count on Lowe's for credit options. See the store nearest you, or go to Lowe's.com for details on the latest credit offers going on now.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Fox News commentary.
Governor Ron DeSantis wants you to know Florida is a law and order state, and he's putting his money where his mouth is. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
With each mortgage-free home, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes that put their lives on the line for all of us, risking their lives for our country and our communities. These heroes need your help now more than ever. Help America's heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Time when other so-called leaders are defunding and demonizing law enforcement, Florida Governor DeSantis is doing the opposite. The first round of $5,000 bonus checks are being sent out to new Florida law enforcement officers, and the checks will actually be more than $6,000 to ensure at least $5,000 goes into the new cops' pockets after taxes. This will not only prove how dedicated the Sunshine State is to law and order, but also to the men and women who enforce it. Officers who leave another state to come to Florida, or native Floridians who become police officers for the first time, are eligible for the bonuses. It's no wonder officers from other states are fleeing to Florida. Why would they risk their lives in lawless cities and states whose leaders need them but are too stupid or woke to realize it? Other leaders would do well to follow DeSantis' lead. No citizen wants to live in a neighborhood that has defunded or undermined its officers. We need to be funding departments, appreciating officers, and waking up all the woke idiots who decided to uproot that concept. I'm Tommy Lahren.
The news and talk.
They're mad at inflation, crime. They're mad at gas prices
and the border with fentanyl rushing across it. That matters to St. Louis.
Vote, vote.
For the midterms, first Tuesday in November.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Well, one of the social media platforms looks like it's getting a new owner. I'll tell you about that here in just a couple of minutes or so. I'm Mike Ferguson. It is 7:21 with Gabe Pfeiffer in studio and also Ken Williams in studio. And 7:50, this is weird. A metro area police department just walking around and checking people's houses and leaving notes on doors and things like that. Is that really comforting, or is that a little bit creepy.
What was it?
I'm 750. I'm telling you, people are going home and finding notes hanging on their door from the police. Said, "Hey, we were here, just looking around, checking on stuff." Okay, so that's obviously a sensationalistic tease, but I'll tell you what's going on at 750. I'm curious whether people find comfort in that or whether they're kind of going, "Ooh, that's kind of weird." But you tell me. All right, real quick, let's not forget that at one point Cori Bush, this clip from Good Morning America a couple weeks ago, had this to say when she was asked about does she still support defunding the police.
And you've stuck by it. In fact, you're one of the few Democrats now who still says, let's defund the police. Are you worried at all that could hurt some of your colleagues going into the midterm elections?
See, the thing about defund the police is we have to tell the entire narrative. People hear defund the police, but you know what they'll say? Say reallocate, say divest, say move. But it's still the same thing. We can't get caught up on the words. People spend more time focusing on the word defund than they spend on caring and addressing the problem of police violence in this country.
So she's still big time defund the police.
What was hilarious about that clip is that she still doesn't explain what she means.
Right.
I mean, unless it's simply just take money away from.
Oh
the
yeah,
cops.
no, I mean she's
pretty
just
much it.
She's pro criminal. She's anti law enforcement.
It's amazing.
I mean that's just the way it is.
Well,
yeah.
She's anti law enforcement for you.
For you, exactly. Because now when there's a new update from the New York Post decided to go into the disclosure reports, and Cori Bush has now spent $500,000 on private security while supporting the defund the police movement. FEC records, Federal Election Commission records, show that she spent over $100,000 for security services during the third quarter of 2022, and you add that to what she's previously spent, and you come up to a grand total of about $500,000 so far for her to have her own private security, but
Army.
she wants to defund the police for the rest of us.
And this is over what period of time? Is
the 100,000 was just the last quarter. The last
right?
quarter.
Yeah,
so 30-some thousand a month.
Yeah.
Remember when we originally this came to light when she spent $70,000 on security. This was the initial big deal of this whole thing.
I think it was a little more than that, but yeah.
No, it was $70,000 initially, and then it went up to $100,000. $500,000 now.
Yep.
And it's going to continue to grow then.
Of course.
At $100,000 a clip per quarter.
There must be white supremacists out to get her everywhere.
Peeking over the hill, taking pot shots
No
out of her.
kidding, man.
Like that was the story from Ferguson, right? She was saying that there were white supremacists up on a hill shooting at them.
Right. Yeah.
And they had to take cover behind parked cars. I remember all that bullcrap. She's so fake. She's fake. She's kind of dumb.
Yeah,
and
kinda.
And who was it that called her out?
Oh my gosh,
Tony Colombo, I know, was there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Tony Colombo was in Ferguson at the time. Yeah. So yeah, that didn't happen.
Well, and the Ferguson police and North County police, and even some of the people who were at like the Black Lives Matter protest,
Like,
they
what are you talking
they were
about?
like, no, nothing like that.
Nobody
no.
was shooting anything.
But there are no consequences because that's a third rail of politics: is thou shalt not offend the squad.
Right.
And so, but she's in a district specifically drawn to protect her seat.
It's amazing.
$500,000. Now, I guess that's for just the people, or is that for equipment? I don't understand.
I mean,
security around a building.
No, it'd be like to be her posse,
Private individuals.
Wow.
who are hired to do the bodyguard stuff.
Now, one of the things I've noticed too about posses and security people, at least with celebrities, is they hire like their biggest friends.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, and then you call them security, and then you give them the exorbitant fees that you might pay for like a former special forces guy who works for security.
Yeah.
So I don't know. She could be employing like some cousins too, and call them security.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes it better or worse. It's pretty much worse.
Okay, let me go to another weird situation. You guys remember Parler?
Yeah.
Who? What?
Yeah, Parler used to be. It was a thing for about 45 seconds.
Oh yeah, Parler.
I got on Parler. I set up an account. I was there early enough to actually just get my name, and of course, then it got yanked off Amazon Web Services, and they rebuilt it, and it sucks.
Yeah.
It's not user friendly at all. I mean, it's just terrible.
I can't even log in anymore. I don't think they have an app either. Right?
Well,
the
app hasn't worked for me. I mean, by any so I haven't even checked mine in months. Rapper and very well documented, noted, mentally ill anti-Semite Kanye West is apparently purchasing Parler. And Parliament Technologies CEO, which is the company that owns Parler, their CEO, George Farmer, tells Mornings with Maria on Fox Business why he's decided to sell Parler to Kanye West.
Parler needs Ye in many ways because Parler needs its brand to expand. And I think Ye is very interested in expanding his social media presence.
I'm assuming he'll let Jewish people on Parler if he buys it. I mean, you've got a mentally ill bigot here is what you've got. But he's buying that. He says he's all about free speech. So I guess you can say whatever you want. He got I don't think he got kicked off, but I think he got suspended, or maybe
Twitter?
He was banned from Instagram and Twitter over his anti-Semitic remarks. And so, if he wants to say what he wants to say, I mean, he has a right to say it. I've got the right to call him out for what he is.
Mm-hmm. How much did he pay for it? Do you know?
They have not said yet.
Man,
that I don't know. But it's Parler, so I mean that could be worth like $400 or $500. I mean that's. When you look at how important Parler is.
I vaguely remember some discussions about the active users on these various platforms, and I think Parler has like just under 2 million or something like that active users. What's the next? Getter has somewhere on the order like 8 million or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter is like 410 million. So it's like these are very much niche areas at this point. So I'm not sure it's going to make much of a difference to our wider society at all.
Smoozy Q, Susie Moore just posted on our Rumble chat box, and Susie, thank you. I did not know this. George Farmer, the owner of Parler, I did not know this. She just pointed out that's Candace Owens' husband.
Oh, really?
I had no idea.
I did not know that either.
So, I mean,
okay,
whatever Kanye West buys, then, there you go. He's going to take her out to a really nice dinner.
They're estimating.
I mean, we're talking get deserted Applebee's.
Yeah.
$1 billion valuation.
Really?
Last year.
For Parler?
Nearly, yeah.
Wow.
I cannot imagine Parler's worth that much money.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you can barely use it. It is that clunky. And I'm not talking about any of the content on there. I mean, the actual mechanics of the site are just terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
That's
close to $1 billion.
That's
crazy.
You and I almost said the same thing.
Exact same time. Yeah, I stopped short.
Oh,
I don't want to owe you a Coke.
Yeah, I don't drink pop.
Oh my gosh.
Another coffee. Yeah, so there you go. I don't know that changes anything with Parler. It doesn't make me more or less likely to use Parler. I haven't even thought about Parler in months.
Yeah.
But
we'll see what happens.
I guess you'll get Kanye's playground out there.
I have an update for you.
What's that? Yes.
That was from 2019.
Okay. Oh, that was 2019's valuation?
As of September 16th, 2022, it's $16 million.
Oh, okay. That's a significant hit. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. 314-912-1019. I know I've got my Parler account there and I'm verified and all that, but yeah, don't even bother. Find me on Getter at Mike on the Radio. Find me on Twitter at AVP Radio Show. And of course, look for News Talk STL everywhere except Parler. I don't think we're on Parler.
Find me on Truth Social under Ken_Williams.
There you go.
Pretty basic.
Easy enough. Pretty basic. All right, just ahead here, want to come back to this topic. This I think is the big one, or it should be. A lab in the United States intentionally creates a more dangerous strain of COVID. It's for research, people. It's for research.
This is wild.
Is this really a good idea? 314-912-1019. Let's talk about it right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019 94.1 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com. So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasevich. Residents and business owners in St. Clair County recovering from July's historic rains and floods can finally apply for federal aid. The White House announced yesterday a formal disaster declaration for the county to cover flooding between July 25th and 28th. Individuals who were defendants in Edmondson Municipal Court over an 8-year period have until Thursday to sign up for compensation from a class action lawsuit. People who were fined, faced arrest, or spent time in jail between December 12, 2013 and July 1, 2021 just because they could not pay a traffic ticket are all eligible. 3 men previously charged at the state level for stealing catalytic converters from Bimbo Bakery in Maryland Heights are now facing charges of conspiracy to commit offenses against the United States for stealing converters from United States Postal Service vehicles. Approximately 10 catalytic converters were stolen from postal vehicles at the post office in Maryland Heights. During a pep rally yesterday at Centene Stadium, St. Louis City SC announced 5 of the 25 area restaurants that will serve food at matches beginning next year. A couple of the restaurants announced were Steve's Hot Dogs and the Balkan Treat Box. Anheuser-Busch has debuted a limited edition turkey dog brew for the upcoming holiday season. The drink is a non-alcoholic bone broth filled with turkey, sweet potato, turmeric, and ginger. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We've got PD checking on a stall northbound on 270 north of Olive. It's not currently blocking. And a crash westbound 364. It's on the Mugi ramp. 170 southbound backing up approaching Highway 4064. We've got a stalled vehicle in the left lane. MoDOT is with it. North 270, there are heavy pockets. 55 up through Manchester. Add 10 minutes to your normal commute. We're still pretty busy. 61 southbound Route A to 70. Don't have any incidents reported there, though. This report is sponsored by Lowe's, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us. MVP's Pro Rewards members visit Lowe's now and earn bonus points on products and brands like DeWalt. Then redeem for Lowe's e-gift cards and more. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees. After applicable discounts, if any. Subject to program terms. Visit Lowes.com/MVP bonus points for details. Now through 10/28.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
After a frosty start this morning, it's going to be a breezy, chilly day under sunny skies. The high temperature probably getting close to 50, up to about 49 this afternoon, and cold again tonight with sub-freezing temperatures across most of the area, but a warming trend starts tomorrow. Partly cloudy and 53 degrees, and we'll be at near 80 by the time we get to the weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Gerhardt.
The Range St. Louis West is Missouri's best indoor shooting range. With 20 climate-controlled lanes, over 70 firearms available to rent, and the best staff in the business, you're guaranteed to enjoy every minute of your time with us. Our impressive showroom is full of the latest and greatest offerings from the best manufacturers in the business. Need an optic, spare magazines, holster, or any other accessory? Let our professional staff help you find exactly what you need and get it installed for you. Mention you heard us on News Talk STL and save $100 on your membership and enjoy even more goodies. The Range St. Louis West. Are you ready?
If you're on Medicare, listen to this message.
Open enrollment for all Medicare participants is now open until December 7th.
This is a very critical time of year to make needed changes to your plan.
And it's only during this period that you can make modifications, a process that can be confusing, overwhelming, and time-consuming.
MB Health is local and here to complete this process quickly, properly, and effectively. Call Mike Butts and his expert team at 314-544-5400.
Or visit mbhealth.com.
The Vic Borselli Show.
The next Missouri Senator, Nick Schroer.
You know, it is good that Nancy Pelosi's not in America right now. It's less destruction that she can partake in. I can't get over her eyebrows. I mean, if you watch her eyebrows and watch inflation, it shows you the trends in inflation rising.
Huh?
And during Trump, her eyebrows were normal.
It's an economic indicator. Her eyebrows.
Really is. I don't know if it's the Botox or the vodka.
Vic Borselli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Listen to this noise coming out of the White House.
Live and local.
We need to get the message to people who are not being helped by Democrats.
Ron DeSantis showed people the back of his hand.
This is News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis, for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
had to double check this next topic when I saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just seems absolutely bizarre, and I'm trying to remain as open-minded as I can. I mean, I've gotten myself in a lot of trouble with, frankly, with some of the folks really, really on the devout, hardcore conservative end of things. Again, I'm pretty darn conservatarian, but I always want to make sure I'm getting things right. So when I don't rush to conclusions, people get mad at me for not being, whatever, dedicated enough, but I'd rather just get the truth. But here's what we do know, not from gadfly websites, but we do know that a major U.S. university has intentionally created a more dangerous COVID strain, I should say. They say it's for research. So I'm willing to hear people's arguments as to why this could possibly be a good thing. I've got a report from Fox News on it in just a second here. But at this point, going on 3 years into this COVID era, the government's been far more dangerous than any virus ever was. With each passing variant that we were supposed to be scared of and poop our pants over, it's gotten lighter and lighter and lighter to the point now where if you get COVID, for most people, one, you may not even notice it. And if you do, you may confuse it for allergies or a mild cold. That's not to say it doesn't affect other people, differently. But the COVID pandemic is over and has been for a long time, as much as politicians would love to hold on to that. But Boston University researchers say they've developed, that's a verb, developed a new, more lethal COVID strain. Fox News' Sue Guzman has the report.
Researchers at Boston University are the subject of controversy after creating a lab-made hybrid SARS-CoV-2 virus, which they say had an 80% kill rate. They say they added a spike protein from the Omicron variant with the original Wuhan strain to do it. And in testing, it killed 80% of the mice infected with it. And when the mice were only exposed to Omicron, they experienced only minor symptoms. Fox News reached out to the university but did not receive any comment. An early theory of the origins of COVID-19 said it came from a wet market in Wuhan, but some suspect the virus was engineered at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Sue Guzman, Fox News.
Okay, so let's talk about what is just a fact. Is that Boston University scientists, and there were some from Florida, although I don't know from what institution in Florida, who were part of this process, they intentionally took the Omicron variant, which was just not a big deal for most people, and they took the protein spikes from that, I guess, and they put it with the original, or they somehow combined them. They Frankensteined these together in order to see if they could make it more dangerous. Congratulations, you succeeded? At least on the mice. I mean, Minnie, sorry.
Yeah, and this leads to the discussion of gain-of-function research, right? The idea that by adding capabilities to existing virus strains that you can benefit, that research would benefit from that by being able to understand pandemics better or what have you. By basically creating a pandemic among your mice lab and then watching how it progresses there, I suppose. But I've never bought into that argument that
okay,
the benefits of that sort of research is worth it.
Well, let me ask this in context, because the reason that it's good that we have Gabe here, because Gabe, you are a scientist in your full-time occupation.
Yes.
Now, this isn't your field of science. You do a different kind of science, but you have been trained and you've been educated in the scientific method.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not asking you as an expert on epidemiology or anything like that, because that's not what you are.
Right.
But here's the question is, with each wave and with each variant, it's gotten less lethal. The symptoms have been less. The immunity has gone up. I mean, basically, the virus has run its course, and it generally runs itself into the ground, and that's what viruses do.
Yeah.
That's the progression of what we're having. Okay, so they say a secure lab. Okay, let's take them at their word and say it's secure and it's in the lab and it's never going to get out, because we know nothing like that would ever happen except for what happened 3 years ago. But let's just say in the United States, that's never going to happen. Why on earth, if you see the cycle is showing that this is becoming less and less and less dangerous, it's just another thing out there like the flu, another thing out there like the cold, would you even for research purposes say, let's create something that's more dangerous just to study it?
Now, from what I've read, the whole purpose of this particular thing was to isolate the deadly part of the virus, essentially. So it's like, okay, so what portion of the COVID virus is the worst? Like, what do we need to maybe to focus our attacks on this sort of thing in other viruses? Maybe you can make that argument. And in order to do that effectively in their lab, to make their lab experiments more effective, they say, well, we want it to be more transmissible so we can see it, its progress through a larger array of our lab animals. So then they combined it with the more transmissible aspects of Omicron. So then you end up with this more deadly, more transmissible version of Omicron, essentially.
That we didn't have before.
That we didn't have before. It's not as bad as novel, apparently, but certainly more than Omicron. And so I don't know. It's weird to me that they would focus their research on this. Maybe there's something I'm missing about epidemiology and biology that says, okay, this is studying the specific aspect of a virus that makes it deadly would have wider implications, would have wider applicability across other fields. But I don't know. I'm not sure it's worth it to risk what's going on there.
Is there a duty to destroy that strain that they created?
No, because what ends up happening? Well, I say no in the wider scientific, because you want to keep a hold of anything you create as a just in case. I mean, we've got strains of various diseases that have been eradicated from the world that exist in various labs around the world. And they keep them there just in case. I mean, sometimes there are variants of that thing which will pop up. So having the original around is good for research purposes. But having created this one, again, it strikes me as weird.
Listener Steve, he said that was like a level 3 secure facility, and I think about, well, okay, Wuhan was probably a level 3 as well, and that got out, in my opinion. You don't know what people are actually working, who the people are who are actually working on this, and there might be somebody there with a real nefarious attitude of some kind of other agenda. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we talk about college students all the time about how there are those militant college students. I don't know if there's anybody there that has another idea of what to do with this virus or not.
Yeah, I doubt there's going to be a college student involved in something like this. I mean, this would be.
Oh, yeah, I thought you said Boston University.
It's at Boston University.
It's at Boston University. But this isn't something you have students in.
Yeah, you don't put college interns on this.
Thank you. I feel a little better now.
But interestingly enough, on their website, the National Emerging Infectious Diseases Lab, that's the name of the subgroup here over at Boston University. They're talking about their COVID research, and one of the aspects of the research they say on their front page here is that other scientists are busy working on modifying the virus to dial down its potency to enable safer versions of it to be used by researchers in less secure labs. So on their front page, they're talking about dialing down the potency of the virus to open up scientific inquiry, which makes sense. And now we've got a story about them dialing up,
amping it up
potency. So I don't know what's going on.
Take Garland. Are you?
We have time.
Are we gonna hold it over? Or?
Okay, let's do this. Let's try to, because I think the boss is on his way in. So let's stay on time. And then Garland, hang on a second. You'll be up first here in about 3 minutes and 58 and a half seconds on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Some problems on 270 westbound. First of all, we've got a crash on the Chain of Rocks Bridge blocking the two left lanes, only the right shoulder squeezing by. That one just happened, so that traffic is beginning to back up towards Route 3. And we've got another one westbound 270 at Lilac. That's in the left lane, so once you clear the Chain of Rocks Bridge, you're still involved in stop-and-go traffic. Northbound 270 looks like an incident just north of Highway 21 is backing traffic up onto I-55. Westbound 364 on the Mugi off-ramp, we have a crash with injuries. Otherwise, just a lot of volume. 64 east is pretty heavy and slow approaching Winghaven. 340 Olive Clarkson area, it's heavy and slow. Then again, McKnight to Big Bend. I'm Joe Sonderman. This report sponsored by Dell Technologies from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Dell Technologies provides growing businesses with tools to do incredible things because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Only 21 days until the all-important midterm elections.
21 days?
Tuesday at 10:05, we'll talk to soon-to-be State Senator Nick Schroer.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hello, St. Louis. Do you suffer from dry cough, static electricity, shocking the pet's nose when you go to pet them? Then you're in need of an April Air whole home humidifier. Jones Air and Water will install an April Air 600 model in the month of October for $650. For all News Talk listeners, find us on the web at joneswater.com or call us at 636-899-1040. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040.
Hey folks, here's great news for active aging seniors. The Kanega Watch, the only medical alert smartwatch with built-in fall detection. Yeah, the Kanega Watch is much different than the other guys. It's a stylish, discreet watch you can wear all the time. Get help through the watch in one of three ways. Your voice, pushing the watch's alert button, or have the fall detection connect you to a U.S.-based 24/7 monitoring center who'll speak to you through your watch and can send help to your GPS location nationwide. And get this, it can do that even if you're not responsive. This is true 24/7 peace of mind for you and those that love you. Order your Kanega Watch with a full refund 30-day trial period. Call now, 800-413-7152. 800-413-7152. 800-413-7152. That's 800-413-7152.
Stay top of mind with your customers, stand out from the competition, and drive productivity with a podcast for your business from Epic STL Podcasts. Log on to NewstalkSTL.com and click on the Epic STL Podcast button to learn more.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty. The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Gabe Pfeiffer. Mike Ferguson. Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
All right, here in just a couple of minutes, a local metro area suburb has people getting home and finding some things hung on their door. Said, hey, we're the police. We were here just looking around. Everything's fine. Just let you know we're looking around your place. Is that comforting or is that weird? I'll explain just ahead here. All right, it's 7:50 right now. Got Gabe in the studio, got Ken in the studio. If you're just joining us, we're reacting to the news that a U.S. lab at Boston University intentionally created a stronger, more dangerous strain of COVID after all these years of COVID weakening. And so they say it's for research purposes. And to me, this just makes absolutely no sense why we would be intentionally creating something that's more dangerous. But they're arguing it's for scientific research. So what do you think? And who we got here, Ken? I forgot.
Oh, we got Garland.
Garland. Hey, Garland, you're on News Talk STL.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Was this study published in a medical journal?
They're still apparently doing it right now. They're still getting the results.
Okay, because if it was, in the article, it would say this research was supported by a grant from. Yep. And it would be to know if the grant came from Fauci's NIH.
I think that's an excellent point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you mentioned something about that earlier. Like, you wonder where this funding came from. So, yeah, that would be fair. The short answer is we don't know yet, or at least I haven't seen any news articles that listed it. But, yeah, that's going to be fascinating to see where that came from. I think you're right, Garland.
All right, thank you.
You got it, Garland. Appreciate it.
Yeah, remember how snarky Fauci was when he was in the Senate hearings? And he was just talking about gain-of-function research. I have nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So far, I can only connect it to the Massachusetts Consortium on Pathogen Readiness. And I'm not sure.
Hey, if they throw a party, man,
go, buddy.
You get invited. You go.
Mass CPR, man. You can get your heart going.
That's right. Jeez.
Sorry.
This was weird. Okay, this was a weird story I found. As we go to the information segment here in a few minutes, in Wentzville, what do you guys think about this? Wentzville police officers have kind of a new, I guess, outreach plan that they're doing. They're patrolling and apparently even some on foot, which is fine. That's great. And they've got these door hanging tags. And so people are coming home to find this tag that's called Wentzville Police Department, quote unquote, Night Eyes. And as officers patrol the subdivisions or other areas, they put it on the doors as they walk by. And so somebody gets home and they sees the tag with the officer's name and the badge number and the date, the time. And then there's a checklist, and the checklist includes things like officers are searching for unsecured doors or unsecured garage door. Alarm is sounding. And then it says, contact us with updated emergency contact information. And then it has a reminder, for other stuff, and say you'll call us if you have any questions. So I think this is real well-meaning. Yeah. But is this a little weird? I mean, if I get home and I see, hey, the police were here and we were checking your doors and everything, and call us and update your contact information with us, I'm thinking, why are you looking around my house? I mean, if there's a report of a burglar, yeah, absolutely, I want you there as fast as possible. But I got mixed feelings on this.
I'm kind of with you with the mixed feelings aspect of it. Like, I appreciate the concept of the sort of proactive sort of policing, which is this, I think, represents. I think that's the intent of it. It's proactive policing because I don't know how many times our neighborhood watch sort of crime report talks about some criminal getting into an unsecured door, either on a car or a house or something, and taking things. And the police are constantly saying, "Hey, lock your doors, guys. Hey, take your gun out of your car, guys. Hey, and we keep having these problems." So, I mean, I appreciate the idea of the proactive policing in that regard. But again, like you said, that feels weird having somebody just kind of walking around your property, essentially casing the joint, albeit
for a positive reason.
For a positive
for a good reason.
It's still weird to me.
Yeah,
I don't know. I like it.
Okay.
I think we have we live in an area that has a drive-through. It's a main drive,
like a thoroughfare.
Like a thoroughfare, yeah. Uh-huh. And the police, when they go by, I feel good about it. Knowing that they're around. Now this is a little more.
Oh, I like when they drive by.
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is more focused on your house.
Yeah.
And I understand why you're saying what you're saying, but I like the idea if they're walking by and saying, okay, we just check the door. As long as they're not like, looking through the windows, and it can get maybe a little creepy, but I kind of like the cops being around, man.
I like seeing them patrolling everything, and I live near one street. I live near an intersection where sometimes they'll set up shop and they'll just get speeders going by. So if I see them parked like in front of my house, like I've at times come down to the porch and I see a police officer parked right in front of my house. I know what they're doing. I know that they're running the radar on this 25 mile an hour residential street. So I just go get myself a cup of coffee and I sit on my porch and watch.
Oh, for real?
I've become that guy. And I'm like, all right, go get him.
Yeah.
Got him.
Yeah. That's good.
Oh, they're going 45 miles an hour. Go get him. I'm not that old, but apparently I am.
Yeah. Get off my lawn.
Go get him, Richmond Heights Police. But yeah, it's like I really appreciate the intent behind this, but it just feels weird to say, oh, no, hey, we found an unsecured door, which means you're walking around jiggling my doorknob.
Yeah.
I appreciate what they're doing, but at the same time, can you appreciate what they're doing and going, yeah, a little weird, guys? and
Yeah,
gals.
I think there's something, I guess, with that tweaks me, at least in terms of, my home being my castle kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't have a very specific purpose in being on my property, I don't want you there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you came uninvited, and you just kind of started doing stuff, and I don't know. It makes me feel weird. Again, I appreciate the intent.
Right.
I don't think they're bad guys looking to do bad things.
No.
It just makes me feel weird.
And I get where Ken's coming from as well, because I said that's part of my mixed emotions on it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's like I want them to be vigilant, I guess. Like this, we pay them to be vigilant. Hey,
Right.
watch out for us. It's
Right.
the serve and protect thing, right? That's the thing
Exactly.
we want. So, yeah, I don't know.
We have who?
Chris on the line. He's
Chris?
Yeah,
Okay,
retired
hey, Chris.
police officer.
All right, so Chris, I've got about 60 seconds for you, just so you know.
Yeah, real quick. I'm a retired officer, and that PR stuff actually isn't new. And I just want to make sure you guys know they're not actually checking. It's for the businesses and residential areas.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're at the residential areas, it's simply just saying, hey, your hedges are too high. Might want to trim them. Need more lighting. But the businesses would be the ones that would have the doors being checked, saying, hey, there's an open door or something like that there. So it's not actually casing your joint.
I will tell you, though, this news report says it's specifically in residential areas.
Well, then
maybe they're expanding
on that
it.
case, that would be a little strange.
Yeah.
Well, what you're saying, I approve.
Yeah.
like that makes you feel a whole lot better if that's what they were doing. But yeah, that extra little there, I'm not
All right,
so sure.
that'll run you an information segment. Chris, appreciate you being on News Talk STL. Hey, the Biden administration says it's going to protect workers by screwing over some workers.
Yep.
Because that's what we do.
That's how we roll.
Oh, this is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. We'll get to that in just a moment.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. That's 800-979-3060.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jeremy House. A Russian warplane has crashed into a residential area in Russia after suffering engine failure, killing over a dozen people.
Firefighters at the scene attempted to put out the flames still raging overnight as a large plume of smoke engulfed the singed and damaged apartment block. A Russian Su-34 bomber came down in the port city of Yeysk after one of its engines caught fire as it was taking off. Russian authorities said both crew members bailed out safely, but the plane crashed into a residential area, causing a fire as tons of fuel exploded on impact. Several of the victims died after they jumped from a 9-story apartment building to escape the massive blaze. I'm Karen Chamas.
Republican Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia and Democratic challenger Stacey Abrams are painting different visions for the future of the state. During a debate last night, Kemp described who the majority of new gun buyers are.
The largest, fastest growing segment of the population that's buying handguns and firearms is African Americans and females. You know why? Because the criminals are the only ones that do have the guns.
Abrams says she's concerned about the number of guns.
Yes, more people are buying guns, but that's because they think that's the only way to protect themselves because guns have flooded our streets.
The debate was aired on the Atlanta Press Club Georgia Public Broadcasting Network. The Nation group that secured the first ever union victory of an Amazon warehouse in the U.S. is set to face a crucial test today. Representatives from the National Labor Relations Board will be counting ballots from a union election at an Amazon warehouse near Albany, New York. On Wall Street, Dow futures are ahead 637 points at 30,867. NASDAQ futures are up by 272.5. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold, the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Scientists.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Very busy. We've got a crash 270 westbound at the Chain of Rocks Bridge. 2 left lanes are closed. Traffic's at a halt back to about Route 3. Now, once you clear that, there's more slow traffic approaching Riverview where there was a crash earlier. It's on the right side now. 70 westbound to Grand. A crash blocking the 2 right lanes has jammed traffic back into downtown. It's also affecting the Musial Bridge westbound back from Route 3, trying to merge onto westbound 70. 6455 westbound from 64 to the Poplar Street Bridge has slow pockets as well, so you'll be delayed there. This report sponsored by Blindster. Need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you at prices less than the big box retailers. Blindster blinds, easy to install. They're guaranteed to fit. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop today and save big at Blindster.com. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
After a frosty start this morning, it's going to be a breezy, chilly day under sunny skies. The high temperature probably getting close to 50, up to about 49 this afternoon, and cold again tonight with sub-freezing temperatures across most of the area, but a warming trend starts tomorrow. Partly cloudy and 53 degrees, and we'll be near 80 by the time we get to the weekend. I'm Campbell B. First Alert meteorologist Kent Harris.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by All Solutions Pest Control, 636-486-7888, or visit them at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Hi, Sean Long for STL Fenceworks. For over 50 years, our time-honored commitment to quality, service, and affordability make STL Fenceworks the go-to authority for fence, deck, and leisure space projects. During these unsure times of severe inflation and supply shortages, you can depend on STL Fenceworks to meet your needs. Being the #1 fence and deck contractor in the state, we've leveraged our position to make contract buy-ins hedging against price increases. Also, our buying power has allowed us to stockpile fence and deck material. There are no shortages at STL Fenceworks. In fact, we have more fence and deck material on hand now than we have had at any time in our 50-year history. Lastly, our commitment to a quality and customer-first approach has never wavered. Your project will be completed by experienced craftsmen in a timely manner, and our lifetime warranty reinforces that commitment. STL Fenceworks warranty surpasses anything offered in the industry. Visit stlfenceworks.com and allow us to bring your backyard dreams to life. As always, at STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion.
This is what's happening.
You can't get me more outraged than right now.
They sense that the Republicans are going to take charge in the House.
Keep our numbers in the Senate.
News, analysis, opinion.
We're going to win big on Election Day.
This is News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
Wow, you're really pumped about this.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis?
The best answer to the toxicity of the left is the truth.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
We've got an economy that is in such an unusual state right now. You've got inflation. Just this week, we found out that some of the core CPI numbers were up again. Employers are paying more for workers than they ever have, but at the same time, they say they can't find enough of them. So it's a very, very strange place in our economy right now. And add to that, the Biden administration is proposing some changes to federal law when it comes to freelancers and contract workers and gig economy workers. What are the possible outcomes of that? I'm Mike Ferguson. I am now joined by Vinny Vernuccio. He is the president of the Institute for the American Worker, also a senior fellow at the Mackinac Center. And Vinny, let's start with kind of the basics. This is in the sort of public hearing stage, if you will. What is it that the Biden administration wants to change with these federal labor laws?
Hey, Mike, thank you for having me on. This is just one more example of the Biden administration's attack on entrepreneurs, small business, and independent work. They want to make it harder for independent workers to work for themselves, for folks working in the gig economy to make some extra money on the side and, really shore up their rainy day funds. They're trying to basically categorize a lot of people that consider themselves self-employed, have side work. They're trying to say, well, no, you're not working for yourself here. You're actually employees. And if they are considered employees, there's a whole host of regulations and things that comes with that could really hamper the ability for people to work for themselves.
So we're talking about like Uber and Lyft drivers, maybe Instacart delivery people, freelance writers, people like that is really who we're talking about, right?
Yeah, we are talking about freelancers, independent contractors, depending on how they interpret their interpretation of the rule. We could be talking about the gig economy. I know that at least investors saw that and got very spooked. Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, you saw their stocks plummet the day that this rule was announced. There's a lot of consternation out there. And like you said, this consternation and this fear is coming when the economy is not exactly in a good shape, while we're seeing massive spikes in inflation. And we're seeing gas going up. We're seeing stocks going down. Really, this attack on entrepreneurship could not be coming at a worse time.
Vinny, respond to what the Biden administration is arguing and the Biden Department of Labor. They're saying, but some of these workers are being exploited. They may be working full time. They're not covered by minimum wage. They're not covered with health insurance benefits. They don't get paid time off. They don't get vacation time. So what we're trying to do is stop these employers from exploiting these workers. What's the answer to that critique?
Go talk to your Uber driver, talk to a freelancer. If you really want to see what's going on and the devastation that reclassifying somebody as an employee when they want to be an independent worker has, go to California and talk to the people that were decimated by AB 5. On Institute for the American Workers website, we actually have worker stories from people in California, some of which actually had to leave the state when they made the classification for employee more stringent and essentially doing it to make it easier for unions to organize them. Now, with all that being said, I do want to specify that in the rule, the Department of Labor did say that they can't go as far as California. They can't use the same test because the law doesn't allow them to do that. But, the devil's going to be in the details. Even though they can't use that test, we've seen major pronouncements from the Biden administration that this is where they want to go. And they are going to go as far as they can to hamper people's ability to be self-employed.
We are visiting with Vinny Vernuccio. He is the president of the Institute for the American Worker, and we're going to give out your social media and your website information here in just a couple of minutes. All right, Vinny, when we look at the rules that they're wanting to apply, how does that compare with what we have? I mean, at one point, one of the key determinants as to whether or not you were a contractor legitimately or you should be an employer had to do with whether you set your own schedule or whether somebody else controlled your schedule.
Well, hey, Mike, I tell you what, I love this, but I'll apologize to the audience in advance and just say, Mike, you were the one that wanted to get wonky here. So let's get wonky.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a thing called the there is a thing called the economic reality test. And what we are talking about here is multi-factors. And it's, several different factors and how you weigh that. And it comes down to a statute called the Fair Labor Standards Act, the FLSA, and that determines things like minimum wage, overtime, and a host of other things as well. What the Trump administration did is they basically said that the nature and degree of control over the work and the workers' opportunity for profit and loss were the two key factors. So, when you step back, this makes sense. Do you have the opportunity to make money? Is it entrepreneurial? If you're basically entrepreneurial in nature, then guess what? You're working for yourself. Now, that was a change from a larger multi-factor test that was around for several years. But what the Biden administration is doing is, on the surface, they're saying, oh, we're just repealing the Trump rule and we're going back to the old economic reality test. But in reality, they're adding more factors and they're giving more weight to more factors. And without getting into, the long list of what those are, essentially what they're trying to do is set the stage to make it harder for workers to work for themselves. And that's really what this is all about. It's about saying, no, you gig worker that is making some side money, or you freelancer that, has a couple clients, is working for yourself. You guys are really employees. And, now all these regulations apply to you. And hey, by the way, you can also be unionized. And if you're unionized in the 23 non-right to work states, you can also be forced to pay that union or lose that job.
We've got about a minute left, Vinny. And so, in other words, it's going to be a lot more expensive to hire somebody if this goes through. And if that happens, I just can't imagine a scenario where these companies keep on as many people working.
That's right. Or severely restricting, their freedom, their hours, having much more control over them. So really what you're talking about is making it harder for people to work for themselves, have that freedom and flexibility that comes with freelancing, that comes with gig work, that comes with working for yourselves. And, really when, you look behind the curtain on all this, it's about, having more regulations on those workers, but also, and one of the key backers, and you're starting to see like AFL-CIO and other unions advocate for this, make it easier for those unions to organize now employees, people that used to be self-employed.
All right. Where do we find Institute for the American Worker online?
Sure. It is I4AW.org, I4AW.org. And we have information on the rule and also those worker stories from California and the devastation that was wrought when they changed the test out there.
All right, Vinny, appreciate the perspective and update.
Mike, thanks for having me on.
And there you have it. You've got the organized labor interest in this as well. Yeah, you could have seen that coming. When you look at the effects of what that AB5 had in California, because that was kind of a microcosm test run of this entire mindset, and it was disastrous for California. I mean, it really set them up to be in terrible shape even before they shut everything down over the COVID scare as well. So this means that if you're forced into working full-time as a regular employee, you might get some benefits you don't have otherwise, but that's only if you get to keep your job at all. And this is one of those things that, man, this could put a lot of people out of work and put their side hustles out of work and who knows what else. All right, 314-912-1019. Love to get your thoughts on this as well, right here on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com.
the war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. You wanna do that? Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Still quite a mess. We'll start downtown, westbound on 70 past Salisbury. We had a crash blocking the 3 right lanes, only the left one getting by. So that has I-44 jammed all the way back to the 55 split to continue to 70 west. The Musial Bridge westbound is affected, and the Poplar's even pretty heavy in pockets most of the way rounding the bend onto the bridge. Now, another trouble spot was 270 westbound on the Chain of Rocks Bridge. They've cleared a crash there, but we have one on the right side at Lilac. So as a result, you're still backed up into Madison County. This report is sponsored by Lowe's. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Thinking about an appliance purchase or having something installed, like flooring, kitchen, or bath? You can count on Lowe's for credit options. See the store nearest you, or go to Lowe's.com for details on the latest credit offers going on now.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Hey, Columbo here, and many of you know that one of my favorite things to do when I have some free time is to get out on the water and go fishing. And the folks at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton are the people you should see before your next fishing trip. No matter what you're fishing for, they have everything you need, from gear to lures to live bait. Plus, they can even set you up on a guided fishing tour on the Mississippi River. Make sure the tackle box is ready for your next trip by visiting Bluff City Outdoors at 2813 East Broadway in Alton and BluffCityOutdoors.com.
Fox News commentary.
Governor Ron DeSantis wants you to know Florida is a law and order state and he's putting his money where his mouth is. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
With each mortgage-free home, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes that put their lives on the line for all of us, risking their lives for our country and our communities. These heroes need your help now more than ever. Help America's heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Time when other so-called leaders are defunding and demonizing law enforcement, Florida Governor DeSantis is doing the opposite. The first round of $5,000 bonus checks are being sent out to new Florida law enforcement officers, and the checks will actually be more than $6,000 to ensure at least $5,000 goes into the new cops' pockets after taxes. This will not only prove how dedicated the Sunshine State is to law and order, but also to the men and women who enforce it. Officers who leave another state to come to Florida or native Floridians who become police officers for the first time are eligible for the bonuses. It's no wonder officers from other states are fleeing to Florida. Why would they risk their lives in lawless cities and states whose leaders need them but are too stupid or woke to realize it? Other leaders would do well to follow DeSantis' lead. No citizen wants to live in a neighborhood that has defunded or undermined its officers. We need to be funding departments, appreciating officers, and waking up all the woke idiots who decided to uproot that concept. I'm Tommy Lahren.
Listen anytime. It happens
anywhere, everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news with the News Talk STL app.
Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go.
Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store
or at newstalkstl.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
All right, 8:35, a beauty product store taking some heat for a podcast that they released, and they're only taking heat because it was incredibly stupid.
Yeah, I would say.
I mean, my gosh. So a lot of women apparently, and I'm unlike Ulta Beauty, I'm not going to try to speak for women, but apparently a lot of women are not fond of having men tell women what being a woman is actually all about.
This is when corporations try to perpetuate that the woke ideology, and it kind of gets thrown back in their face.
Oh, I've got the 15-second clip that really kind of encompasses the entire problem with this and why they got such a backlash to this. And the way that they're handling it on social media, the way they're handling the backlash is basically dishonestly trying to say, no, people love what we did. People love it. People love it.
Yeah.
There, no. All right, 8:22 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. That's Ken Williams. Let's see here. A U.S. lab has intentionally created a stronger strain of COVID, and they are actually telling us about this. We've been touching on this throughout the morning, and you're going to hear more about this in some of the reports throughout the day regarding this on Fox News, and I'm sure Town Hall as well. Boston University researchers merged parts of the Omicron variant to the original novel Wuhan virus, and they report to us that it's 80% lethal to the mice that were their test subjects. So I guess congratulations.
Yeah,
I mean, is that so? They took essentially what has become more and more harmless over the last couple years, and said, well, let's find a way to make it more dangerous so we can study it. Sheesh. Okay.
That's an applause line.
I just don't see it. I mean, I don't understand. I know there is a reason they're doing it, but it just seems to me that this situation doesn't need to happen. I mean, I know they've got this meaning of trying to, think that it's going to save somebody's life, but it could destroy lives.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing God. Bad things are going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, they just are, especially as the virus is running its course. And, research, okay, great stuff, but creating something more lethal that didn't exist before and saying, okay, well, we're going to study this lethal strain. Well, you created it. You sure already know it's already there. So
we found a monster originally back in 2020. It got out of control. We somehow stopped it, or it stopped itself by just getting weaker.
Just ran its course.
It ran its course. Yeah. The monster died, and then we want to create another monster, even bigger.
Jeez. Hopefully they'll keep this one in a lab. All right. Let's see what else is going on. Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican of Iowa, says that he has evidence that President Biden and his son Hunter may have been involved in a number of international business deals. Fox News' Matt Finn has the story.
Senator Grassley wrote a letter to the U.S. Attorney General and Delaware's U.S. Attorney David Weiss, in which Grassley makes the explosive claim that the FBI has a substantial amount of evidence that allegedly reveals President Biden and his son were shared recipients of a $5 million wire transfer in 2017 from a Chinese energy firm, CEFC. Grassley also writes that the FBI has a series of documents with information on the owner of the Ukrainian national gas firm Burisma. Hunter Biden sat on Burisma's board. Grassley wrote in part, quote, "These documents also indicate that Joe Biden was aware of Hunter Biden's business arrangements and may have been involved in some of them."
And the president, of course, who often brags about how close he is to his son, Hunter, says, don't know anything about those business deals. Nope, no idea. Nope.
Yeah, right.
No clue.
Chuck Grassley, he's known for being right in the middle of the road, really sticking to the program and not saying any outrageous things or accusations. And when he says he has something, he has something. And it's going to be really interesting to see what he delivers after November.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Speaking of November, 3 weeks to go before the elections, of course, Illinois voters can get another look at their two major party candidates for governor as J.B. Pritzker and Darren Bailey are going to debate tonight. That happens at 7 o'clock. WGN Television in Chicago is hosting that. It's a 1-hour event, and you can see it streaming on Fox 2, but you can also watch it over the air at KPLR. Once again, that is at 7 o'clock. And according, of course, to the campaigns and elections, the Biden administration definitely wants to turn voters' attention away from the economy, and all the stuff actually affecting our lives. Fox News' Peter Ducey has the story from the White House.
The bigger concern among 89% of those surveyed in a Fox News poll is inflation. White House officials are hoping to reshape the race by talking most about the issue voters are sixth most concerned about, abortion policy.
The assault on women's access to reproductive health care by Republicans official is an assault.
But inflation remains high, and critics are pointing to the nearly $2 trillion American Rescue Plan. The president's approval on the economy overall is just 35%, and on inflation specifically, 29%.
And of course, the Biden administration continues to say COVID-19 done it. That's why things are so bad. Global supply chain problems, and Russia. They're all to blame.
Yeah,
definitely not our policies.
That administration is living so much in a bubble right now, and they're going to bring up climate change, which is not on the list hardly at all for people's concerns, and they're basically blaming whatever is happening right now. Indirectly, they're blaming it on the Trump administration.
They'll blame it on anybody they can possibly think of. I mean, I'm pretty sure that if the president's out on the portico at the White House and sees, a group of nuns walking by on the sidewalk on Pennsylvania Avenue, they're going to go blame them.
They did it.
They done it.
Put them in jail.
That is really where it's at. I mean, they're just trying to buy enough time to hold off the body politic and the electorate just crashing down on top of them. I don't know that they've got that time anymore. I mean, it's not even so much that people are so angry and up in arms as in people are hurting. And this is one of those rare occasions we know exactly where the pain's coming from.
Yeah, Mike, I think the corporate media is also wearing a little thin on this whole thing. They're having trouble hiding a lot of this stuff. It's going to be really interesting, I think, between now and November, what transpires between the Biden administration, the media, and how they navigate all this.
Yeah, the media has obviously tried to be as friendly as possible, but at some point they've got a market they've got to respond to as well.
Yeah.
And that's where they're finding themselves. All right. Next 21 days are going to be very, very, very interesting. All right. Quick note. We talked yesterday about the flooding assistance that is now available in St. Louis City, St. Louis County, St. Charles County from the July flash floods. Federal assistance now available for residents of St. Clair County in Illinois. This is actually like the first time in 9 years that there's been federal FEMA assistance, at least for that part of Illinois. It's been quite a while. So FEMA, as of about a half an hour ago, they are now taking applications for federal flooding assistance. That is between $3,000 and $7,000 per household, that if you are qualified, but they're taking those applications now and for the next 60 days. So if you want to know more about that or you want to make your application, you can get the information at disasterassistance.gov. When this happened in July, we said at the time, Ken, we pointed out, this is going to leave the headlines of the news because something else is going to come along.
Sure.
But this is going to affect people's lives for months and for years to come. That's how devastating some of those floods were. It's weird for me to drive down Manchester, then turn up on Hanley to go to some of the places, because I live in that area, and say, man, late July, this was all underwater. Where I'm driving right now was underwater. I would have been underwater at this point.
Yeah, to keep things into perspective, though, we have to stop with the whole climate change causing the problem type thing. This has happened before. It's happened a long time ago, and it happens about once every 100 years maybe, but it's not climate change related.
Yeah, newsflash, flooding's going to happen again. There'll be some place that'll flood. It was just a bizarre flood where the runoff systems got overwhelmed because of how fast that rain came down. But disasterassistance.gov is where you're going to find that information. Okay, just ahead here, we've got dueling ideals when it comes to how to deal with parents and their children who want to be the opposite gender. One state gets it wrong, one state gets it right, at least when it comes to a few lawmakers. and a major retailer gets it really wrong and pays the price on social media for it, I will tell you all about it in about 4 minutes and 23 seconds on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
They're mad at inflation, crime. They're mad at gas prices. And the border with fentanyl rushing across it.
101.9 and 94.1.
Vote. The midterms were first Tuesday in November.
News Talk STL.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasevich. Mayor Tashara Jones said Saturday that she plans to sign an executive order to establish a commission on reparations for St. Louis City. Jones did not have a date when people could expect the order to be signed, saying there were steps that included the city councilor that still needed to be taken. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft has submitted a proposed rule change that would establish a certification requirement for libraries receiving state funds and institute measures to protect minors from non-age appropriate materials. Under the plan, public libraries would have to adopt policies to determine what material is appropriate for certain ages. Midland States Bank is seeking to evict Barrett Academy, a private Chesterfield high school with a history of financial troubles. The bank said in a lawsuit that it owns Barrett's property and that the school has retained possession of the property past its lease. Tesla has signed a lease for nearly 667,000 square feet of warehouse space at Gateway Tradeport, a planned industrial park in Pontoon Beach. It's not clear what Tesla has planned for the warehouse, which is already under construction. And in sports, the Cardinals general manager, Michael Gersh, and Randy Flores, the team's assistant general manager and director of scouting, have both agreed to contract extensions with the team. Each contract is extended for multiple years. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Still some issues downtown. Musical Bridge traffic still backed up into Illinois. Westbound 70 heavy approaching Salisbury. That's due to a crash. It's mainly on the right side now. 270 westbound, we are busy approaching Lilac, but that's improving. It's no longer jammed into Illinois. There was a crash on the right-hand side there. 55 Bayless up through Gasconade, still pretty slow. 270 north has some pockets approaching Tesson Ferry, but the main congestion is Gravois now up through Manchester, so you're doing a little bit better there. Eastbound 64, typical heavy traffic. It's approaching Clarkson, you're crowded. And then again, Lindbergh in through Big Bend, but that's starting to improve as well. This report sponsored by Mucinex DM. Say goodbye to retaking medicine every few hours. Buy Mucinex DM to get cough and chest congestion relief 3 times longer than your typical 4-hour cough and chest congestion medicines. That's 3 times longer relief. Nothing lasts longer. I'm Joe Sonderman. That's the very latest from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
After a frosty start this morning, it's going to be a breezy, chilly day under sunny skies. The high temperature probably getting close to 50, up to about 49 this afternoon, and cold again tonight with sub-freezing temperatures across most of the area, but a warming trend starts tomorrow. Partly cloudy and 53 degrees, and we'll be at near 80 by the time we get to the weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Gilroy.
Hey, Columbo here for our family dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, a one-stop solution for all your family's dental needs, including braces. Dr. Boscia uses the My Forever Smile Braces system, which straightens teeth many times in less than a year for half the price of traditional braces. Traditional braces or Invisalign can cost $6,000 or more, but Dr. Boscia only charges $29.98 for My Forever Smile, and incentives and insurance can lower the price even more. Plus, New Creation offers in-office financing. Learn more at newcreationdentalcare.com.
The good and bad with home improvement projects. The good, you save a buck or two. The bad.
Kevin, there's no hot water.
So you move on to the car.
Kevin, what's with the car?
Good news, you can recover from these.
Kevin!
Well, most all of them. But when it comes to your retirement, a mistake can be devastating. Call Steve All and the All Financial Group. They've been helping folks plan for retirement for years. That's why they've been able to correct do-it-yourself problems before they're problems. Get your complimentary assessment of where you are now and look at some of the retirement boxes you haven't even thought of.
Kevin!
You can't YouTube your retirement. Call Steve today, 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Get more details at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory services offered through All Financial Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuity products offered through Stephen All, Missouri license 8039738.
The news and talk that affects St. Louis.
Raised interest rate by 0.75 percentage point.
Nothing short of bad.
Vladimir Putin threatened
not to ease tensions, but to escalate them through the threat of nuclear weapons.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Let's do a comparison, shall we?
Okay.
On yesterday's program, we had Tyler O'Neill. He's the managing editor of the Daily Signal, and he was talking about a proposed law in Virginia that would expand the definition of child abuse and child neglect to criminalize parents who say no to a child who says, I want to be called the other gender, I want hormones, I want puberty blockers, I want to transition to the other gender, which, by the way, is a medical impossibility. But all that aside, these lawmakers say if you tell your child no, that your boy cannot become a girl or your girl cannot pretend to be a boy, that should be considered criminal abuse and neglect.
And this is where any parent that is a good parent should plant their flag.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because when my kids are 18 and 22 now, but 19 and 22 now. Wow, God.
It goes fast.
Yeah. But when they were small, I guarantee you I would have done anything to shield them from crap like this.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Now, in Michigan, there's a whole different story. And some lawmakers there have filed a proposal that would expand the definition of child abuse and neglect to include parents who consent to these chemicals and hormones and surgeries on minor children, that if a parent facilitates that or allows it, that parent could be criminally charged with abuse or neglect.
I think using medications or surgeries or anything like that, that's child abuse, plain and simple, because kids haven't developed that part of their brain that to be able to reason with this. They just haven't had the experience. They need to develop naturally. We've talked about that. We talked about that earlier, but to do that to them, it is just simply child abuse.
314-912-1019. Here's the thing is that when you look at permanently altering a child's body, and what we're seeing now, by the way, because this whole trans thing has been around enough years where there's now a growing movement of detransitioners who basically have come to the conclusion, oh my God, what have I done to myself?
Yeah.
I can't go back. Women who had gender dysphoria wanted to live as a man and now says, no, wait a minute, I'm a woman and I can't have children now. There's one of a man who lived as a woman for years who physically had the surgery done and now he lives as what he is, a male. And he's trying to give a warning to everybody out there. So you've got a growing but increasingly censored and silenced movement of detransitioners who are warning people, don't do this. You don't understand the long-term consequences.
And transitioning people, they make up what, about 0.4% of the population.
Less than 1%.
Maybe that. Yeah. And of that percentage, it's not like it's 1% of that population that's having regret. There's a large percentage of those people who are having regret.
It's ridiculous that we're talking so much about trans anything in media. But this is a culture war battlefield that the left created.
They did.
They chose to create this, and then they have used things like the K through 12 public education system to indoctrinate, to recruit. They have aligned it with hard left ideology. And then when you look at this, cross-sectional, intersectional mindset that says, well, if you agree with my left-wing thing, then I've got to support your left-wing thing. And so now we've created this idol of gender whatever, and how many children are being trapped in this because they're being indoctrinated and parents aren't being parents. I will say this, and if I offend you, I want you to call me at 314-912-1019 and tell me why I'm wrong. If your child wants to so-called transition and you support that and you help them, I am telling you, you're a bad parent and you don't love that child.
And you are a part of child abuse.
Absolutely. 314-912-1019. You get to have your say. Call me. Well, not every name in the book. We can't allow that. But,
yeah, I'll have.
But
to
you
use
can
the
tell me
button.
why you think I'm wrong. I'm absolutely willing to hear. We've got until 8:58 for you to do that. So you're welcome to do that. But I think that even though parents are the ultimate, that's who should make the final decision on this. When you're talking about injecting hormones and doing this kind of physical damage, we still charge parents for abuse when they're damaging children in other ways. Just because they're damaging children in a politically correct way, politically popular way at the moment, cultural fad way right now, doesn't make it any better.
No.
Ulta Beauty. I know that a lot of the money in my household and my daughter's household have gone to Ulta Beauty for the makeup. You know, my wife likes their makeup. My daughter likes their makeup. I don't know if they're still going to shop there after this. They apparently have a podcast series, one of those video cast series that everybody has to do beauty topics, which, okay. But they have a series now on something about girlhood, and it's hosted by a man who, you know, has the long hair and wears makeup. It's really weird because he's got a beard and wears makeup. And he goes,
Right.
I'm fluid. No, you're just confused. And on a podcast episode they released a couple days ago, they have another man who has decided that he wants to be a girl. Not a woman, but a girl.
Right.
He goes by the name Dylan Mulvaney, and I guess he's popular on TikTok. And, you know, he prances around in the most stereotypical girlish way you could possibly do. It's really bizarre and creepy to see it. Not just that he cross-dresses. You know, I get that. And you're an adult. You can live however you want to live. But he goes on to this podcast, and the reaction that they got to that podcast was not what they were expecting. Okay, here's this Dylan Mulvaney, and here's what he had to say, talking about his belief that he's actually female just because he says so.
Now I know I can find love. I know I can still be a performer. I know that I can have a family. I want to be a mom one day, and I absolutely can. And that's why the narrative still has a long way to go, because when I was grieving boy Dylan, I didn't know those things were even accessible to me.
Dude, no, you can't be a mom.
He can call himself mom.
Yeah, but you'll be a dad.
But you'll be a dad. And he's saying that not only am I a woman, but I'm a girl. And I think that's
really
rubbing
creepy.
a lot of people the wrong way. One of the cool things, I watched this video. I watched this thing that they had, and I was looking at some of the posts that were coming out. So a lady captured them, because what Ulta did is they actually pulled down most of the negative ones.
Yeah, we're talking about Twitter. And they were just hiding the replies.
They were hiding the replies, but this woman grabbed a ton of them and just scrolled them. And you should see.
Oh yeah.
Most of them were saying, "I'm out. I'm out with Ulta. I'm not going to be using them. I'm not going to be spending money with Ulta anymore."
My wife forwarded to me. She sent me a message. She goes, "Look at this," like as it was happening. Otherwise, I mean, I don't pay attention to Ulta Beauty for anything.
Right.
And she sent that to me, and 90+%, I'd say probably close to 95%, were people livid. And most of it were women who were saying, wait a minute, you've got two men telling me what it's like to be a woman. You've got two men telling women what being a woman is all about. And you heard words like woman face. You heard words like mansplaining to women, and it was basically people taking it as a huge insult. But if you go look now, it's almost 50-50, and people are even commenting, you're hiding replies. You're hiding replies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's what
they
they're
know
doing.
it.
Oh, yeah.
And it'd be silly. They need to just pull it down and take what they can get. They're going to lose a lot of money on this thing. The interesting thing though, Mike, was we talk about blackface and all that, but they were talking about woman face, and that was interesting to me.
I thought that was a fascinating term that somebody put out there.
Yeah.
Granted, there were some of the female conservative commentators had really, spicy hot takes on it, but it was just normal, everyday women who were saying, It just felt to me like somebody said, all right, that's enough. Yeah. Probably some liberal women, probably some feminist women are going, okay, we're done with this.
You're men. You're men telling us what's what.
Yeah, you're men telling women what it's like to be a woman. And for a guy to sit there and say, I want to be a mom someday and I know I can do it. No, dude, you can't.
You can't.
Don't cheapen what my wife has done for the last 18 years being a mom.
Yeah.
Being a mother. I mean, what you want to do is not that. It's physically impossible for you to do that. And so this part of the culture war, which the left started, is swinging back against him. And I'm glad that we've got momentum, but this is an area where, yeah, like you said earlier, that you plant your flag here.
Yeah.
They started this culture war. They need to lose it in a big way.
Yeah.
314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We're finally starting to settle down. We had a crash earlier westbound on 70 close to Salisbury. It's really only blocking part of the right lane now, but it's still affecting the Museo Bridge westbound primarily, and there's also some heavy traffic eastbound on 44 approaching I-70 as a result. The Poplar's pretty slow to thin out this morning. There's still some heavy traffic rounding the bend. Eastbound 64 still slow spots from Lindbergh most of the way to Big Bend. North 270 has some pockets gravel up to Manchester, but that's looking a little bit better. Their support sponsored by Lowe's, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us. MVP's Pro Rewards members visit Lowe's now and earn bonus points on products and brands like DeWalt. Then redeem for Lowe's e-gift cards and more. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees. After applicable discounts, if any. Subject to program terms. Visit Lowes.com/MVP bonus points for details. Now through 10/28.
Columbo and Katie.
New reports show that Joe Biden didn't just know about, but was involved in Hunter's shady business dealings. We'll get you all the details and discuss it Tuesday with Crane Durham. Don't miss it.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Columbo here for Agers Heating and Air Conditioning. We trust Agers with our home because their number one priority is doing right by the customer. Temperatures are changing outside, and as we transition from warmer temps to cooler ones, if you have any issues keeping your family comfortable, don't wait. Call the great team at Agers so they can address the issue before it gets worse. Because whether it's repairs or replacement, Agers is there with the clarity and attention to detail your home deserves. Contact Agers now at 636-242-6515 or through their website, callagers.com.
Hi, this is State Representative Jim Murphy. Rising prices, crime, government overreach. These are issues on the minds of St. Louisans. As your state rep, I share your concerns. I filed legislation that reins in out-of-control bureaucrats, puts an end to gangs pilfering through our cars, and gets stolen guns off the streets. I have voted against out-of-control spending and voted for the biggest tax cut in Missouri history. I ask for your support in November as this work has just begun. Vote Jim Murphy, your state rep.
Paid for by Citizens for Murphy. Mary L. Murphy, Treasurer.
Open enrollment is coming for anyone covered by Affordable Care Act.
Open enrollment starts November 1st and stays open through January 15th.
Each year, available insurance options change.
And it's only during this period that you can make modifications, a process that can be confusing, overwhelming, and time-consuming.
MB Health is local and here to complete this process quickly, properly, and effectively. Call Mike Butts and his expert team at 314-544-5400.
Or visit mbhealth.com.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the morning. The Vic Porcelli Show. Columbo and Katie. Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Vic Porcelli takes over right around 9:04. And so we want to make sure that you're hanging around for that. After that, it's Dan Bongino from 11 to 2 on our 101.9 signal on 94.1. It is Jimmy Fala, and then, of course, it is Tony Columbo and Tony Columbo after that because Katie's on maternity leave. Actually, is today today's her due date?
Due date, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if baby F's going to show up today, but today's the due date.
Any time now. It's gonna be any time. It could be any time this week. I think she said if it's like 3 days past due, they're gonna start talking about inducing. Yeah.
Yep. So hopefully everything is going well there.
Yeah.
Gosh, I see Katie going through that. And of course, my kids, you said your kids are what, 19 and
22.
22.
Yeah.
Mine are 26 and about to be 24. Amber turns 24 here in a couple weeks. And so I'm like, wow, that seems like forever ago. But at the same time, it seems like yesterday.
And I told Katie, I said, man, enjoy it as much as you possibly can. Take a lot of video because it flies by amazingly.
Isn't it weird how that happens? I remember when my kids were little. And I don't know why I remember this, but I remember sitting at the kitchen table. I'm just having my breakfast, and I look over, and there are both of my kids, and they were pretty little. They were like 3 and 5 at the time, and they've got their animal slippers on, and they're eating cereal and watching cartoons. And I remember at that point going, whoa, they were just like little tiny babies like a minute ago. Boy, this time's flown by. And now I've got both of them already out of the house, and they're already through college and everything, and they're in their 20s now. Both of my kids are going to be in their mid-20s as of the end of this month.
I was trying to be profound with my wife. We were sitting there with the girls, and we were in the kitchen, and they were sitting on the seat that I had made for both of them together. This is the old kitchen before we redid it. And I'm looking at them, and I'm looking at her, and I said, we just moved into this house, and these right now are the memories that we're going to be cherishing later. So enjoy them at the moment. I was trying to be profound. I was just trying to say, we're living in the memories right now, and we don't want to speed through them, because you get caught up in let's get a move on, let's get things done, and you forget that that's the moment,
And as Caddy said, you know what? Let's do it again.
Yeah. We've got my nephews are having a bunch of kids now, right? And my niece, and I'm like. And she's just holding the baby. Look at this baby. Oh, she's walking around the house with it. I said, yeah. Okay, you want another one?
Yeah.
And she, no.
Yeah. Our next door neighbor has just had a baby. Margot is 10 months old now, and that's giving Rachel all the baby fix. And I'm like, great. You enjoy. Margot's awesome, though. She's a great little kid. She's really funny. But I'm like, yeah, it also was reminding me how much fun it was and how much I would never want to do that again. How old are your kids, Vic?
Chris is 33, Marielle's 26, Mia's 22.
There you go. Oh yeah, so you've got 2 that are same age as my kids.
Yeah.
So, man.
I see people in the supermarket, like this lady had 2 kids sitting, the shopping cart that looks like a car,
Yeah.
So you could fit 2 kids in there, and the kids were banging on the cart going, "Amen, milk. Amen, milk." And I looked at the mother, and she looked like she wanted to put a gun to her head. And then I realized that, 5 aisles ago, it was Frosted Flakes. So I don't miss any of that, I mean, the memories is something, but, when it's done, it's done. And that's, what you do. You give them wings, and then they fly, and then you're done.
I remember those dual seat carts that you're talking about, because by the time my kids were 4 and 6, I was a single parent at that point. And so I had this trick that I would do because we'd have to go grocery shopping into the day, into the evening. I just, they were too little to leave by themselves. So I go in the store. And so I came up with the dumbest game, and people would crack up over this. I would say, okay, let's have a contest. Let's have a race. Who can fall asleep fastest? Yeah. And I would say 1, 2, 3, go sleep. And they both pretend to sleep. And then they'd be quiet for a while. And then I'm like, oh, I don't know. Amber was a little faster on that one, Austin. And let's do it again. And that's how I kept them quiet in the store.
Play the quiet game. Whoever talks loses.
Yeah, except my kids, by that point, they're like, I lose.
Yeah.
My kids were the most talkative kids on the planet. So I couldn't play that game.
My Abby was that way. I'd just sit there with Abby, and I mean, she would just talk continuous, nonstop about everything, and I loved it. And I wouldn't be paying attention all the time, but I would act like it.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah, uh-huh. Oh yeah.
That's when you have to say to the kids, "Do you ever have an unexpressed thought?" And then they have to sit and think about what that means. It means shut up.
I mean, at some point, as the frontal lobe develops, the filter should develop as well. Some point in there to stop from what's in the head to going out of the mouth. Then again, some of us never actually develop that.
I mean, you spend 18 months teaching them how to walk and talk, and then the rest of their life how to sit down and shut up.
That's right. Oh, geez. Hey, give me your quick gut reaction to something we were just talking about a little bit ago. Okay, so Wentzville police, they're patrolling and, in cars and on foot and things like that. And there was an interesting story I saw where people are getting home and there's like a door hanger on their door. And Wentzville police said, hey, we were here, this officer, this badge number, this name. We were just checking around for unsecured doors and unsecured garage doors. And, we need to get your updated contact information just to let you know we patrolled and looked around. Good intentions. Is that comforting or is that a little weird?
Well, I mean, that they're patrolling is great.
Absolutely.
Whether I keep my door open or locked is none of your business.
Right.
I mean, I've said it a million times. Our door's never locked. People that know us walk in. If you knock on my door, I don't know you. Get off my porch. You know what I mean? But I guess it's comforting. I mean, it's more comforting than it is creepy.
I think it's well-meaning. So that's the thing is I think it's well-meaning, but I just have enough libertarian in me. I'm like, don't worry, you jiggling on my door handles. I mean,
do they actually do that?
Well, they said they were checking for unsecured doors.
Well, I guess they do after that.
Yeah, or unsecured garage doors. I'm like, that's
creepy.
I mean,
just call me and ask me.
Right. And if they want the updated contact information, okay, if that's voluntary, I get it. But I can see them going, hey, it's officer whoever. Hey, we're driving by your house. Doesn't look like anybody's home. Your garage door is open. Okay. I mean, that's going above and beyond really what police
Or if the door's ajar, that's different.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess the conspiracy theory in me says, is this legit? Was it really from the police or was it a really good graphic artist who made this?
No, it was the police. Yeah, no, because the police are the ones talking about it, why they're doing it.
If the police came by and dropped off one of those little door handle things and just said, hi, we're here, we're just walking in a neighborhood, that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
I just find it a little weird if they're jiggling.
Don't try to open my door, though.
Right.
Yeah.
That could get you shot.
Yeah, don't walk around. Yeah. All right, 15 seconds. What's the highlight today?
Isaac Lopez from Red Balloon. We're going to talk a little bit about a new freedom of speech problem. And this Wuhan lab in Boston, what in the hell is going on?
Yeah.
That story frightened me to death. 80% death rate.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve